These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at hellofresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.
We say fight back!
Welcome back to the second day of the Free Speech TV Fund Drive for this fall. It is such an extraordinary opportunity, frankly. I'm so happy to be here with you to encourage you to become part of this really cool television network. Right? I mean, there are bizarre television networks out there, particularly on the right. There are kind of plain vanilla television networks out there. There's a bunch of different kinds of television networks out there. Free Speech TV is unique. There is no other progressive television network. I mean, maybe a few little attempts on the internet and things, but nothing like this. Nothing that's on Dish, that's on Direct, that's on satellite TV all over the country, that's on Sling, that's on Apple, that's on Hulu, that's on Roku. I mean, we're everywhere. And you can tell your friends about Free Speech TV and help, with our evangelism effort. It's always a big challenge, right? Bring new people in. I mean, it's a big challenge for any business to do outreach, to do marketing, to do promotion. And so one of the things that I always try to remind you during these pledge drives is, A, we do need your money. Free Speech TV does need your support, right? And, whether it's $5 or $500, you're calling now 877-378-8669 and making a contribution is a big deal. And I know that there are some of you who are going, well, I just can't afford it right now. I live on a fixed income. My Social Security just barely covers everything, or whatever it may be, my pension, or my job, and it's just, I don't have any money left over to be passing along. It's fine. No harm, no foul. But what you can do is you can pass along free speech itself to your friends and neighbors. You can tell people about Free Speech TV. You can get them excited about Free Speech TV. You can get them to watch Free Speech TV. Hey, have you seen this Hartmann guy? Have you seen, he occasionally says something that's really, really useful. Or Randy Rhodes, I got to tell you. Or, hey, you want to have a hysterical, watch Stephanie or Sonali or David Pakman. I mean, there are some great people on this network. Just absolutely great programs on this network. You're not going to find it anywhere else. And we want to keep it going. Don't you? So please, at the very least, make a commitment that this week you're going to get at least one other person as enthusiastic about Free Speech TV as you are. And if you have the means, if you have the financial means, please call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Monthly contributions, making commitments, becoming members of the Sustainers Circle or whatever it's called here, the group of folks who are on a monthly basis helping out with Free Speech TV, that's great. That's even better, because then Free Speech can budget. But call now, 877-378-8669. There are a whole bunch of little goodies that Free Speech TV is offering with contributions to try to incentivize you to make a contribution. With a $20 gift, you get your choice of either the Free Speech TV kind of bumper sticker or the clear, kind of clingy plastic sticker that you can put in a window without leaving any kind of goop behind. Those stickers are $20, one or the other. With a $50 gift, there are 2 different designs for this Free Speech TV tote bag. And you can choose which one you want. They're both great. These are nice, high-quality, heavy-duty canvas tote bags. Great for, anything from groceries to bringing the towels to the beach or whatever. With a $75 gift, there's the black hat, the Free Speech TV hat. With also with a $75 gift, there's the official Thom Hartmann Free Speech TV mug. And with a $100 gift, you get the Free Speech TV notebook. You have your choice of the Free Speech TV notebook and pen or the Free Speech TV socks. Yes, we have socks. Isn't that cool? With a $120 gift, you can get an autographed copy of my new book that literally came out yesterday. Yesterday was the release date. It's The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich, with a great blurb from Ed Asner on the front cover. I put so much work into this book, and I really hope that you have an opportunity to read it, one way or another. That's available, an autographed copy with a $120 gift, or with a $120 gift, you can get a Free Speech TV t-shirt. The $240 gift, there's the Free Speech TV virtual meet and greet, where we all get together on Zoom and have a conversation. With a $360 gift, there is the Thom Hartmann University box that Free Speech TV puts together, and they throw into that box a pair of Free Speech TV socks and the bumper sticker and an autographed copy of Hidden History of Healthcare and the mug and the hat. And of course, with a $1,000 gift, get in line to come here to Portland when this epidemic or pandemic is over and we've got all this figured out and everybody's well vaccinated, and we'll get together and have a nice lunch together. But the bottom line is, this network is your network, and it needs your support right now. 877-378-8669 is the phone number. Please call now. 877-378-8669.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Well, greetings, my friends, patriots, lovers of democracy, truth, and justice, believers in peace, freedom, and the American way. Thom Hartmann here with you. We've got a lot to talk about today. I want to start out with this narcissist, money-grubbing pig and what he's going to be doing on 9/11. Then I want to get into the Medicare Advantage scam in this first hour. In our second hour, why aren't selfish anti-vaxxers being rationed in hospitals? Well, actually, one state has started that. I'll tell you about that in the second hour. And that this whole idea that these, white nationalists or white supremacists showing up at public schools, yelling and screaming and threatening people with their guns and their Confederate flags, demanding that the schools not use masks or not require vaccines for their kids over 12. In most cases, they're not parents, but there's a larger agenda here that has to do with destroying public schools. We'll get to that in the second. And why would they want to do that? Well, things like evolution and history. And, well, we'll get to that in the second hour. And in the third hour, I want to talk about the filibuster reform and Joe Manchin. And why is this guy destroying President Biden's agenda? I just, it is mind-boggling. But let me start with this money-grubbing pig. I mean, this orange guy who was in the White House for 4 years, arguably because his good friends in Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Russia helped put him there, along with his good friends, the other billionaires in America, has decided on November 11th that rather than having a respectful recollection of November 11, he's going to charge people $50 to hear him call the fight between Evander Holyfield and Victor Belfort. I may be mispronouncing that. I don't follow boxing. But say that again?
Vitor Belfort.
Vitor Belfort. Thank you, Nate. And his little boy, Donnie Jr., he's going to be helping, you know, he's to call this thing. Really? I mean, is this because Donald Trump, after 9/11, went on TV and lied about 9/11, saying that he had seen on TV Muslims celebrating in the streets of New Jersey? No, that never happened. He lied through his teeth about it. He repeated that lie probably dozens, maybe hundreds of times at various rallies and in other venues. That he lied that he went down to 9/11 to see if he could help out. He didn't. That he lied that he sent people from the Trump organization down to the Twin Towers after they crashed to help clean up. He didn't. Is that why he's not doing this? Or is it a good thing for America and for all of us, frankly, that this money-grubbing pig is going to be kind of out of our sight because most of America is going to be paying attention to 9/11. And yeah, I get it. There's a few boxing fans out there, people who like to see, you know, one human being injure another human being in a way that may kill them or destroy their lives permanently with traumatic brain injury. You know, I get that. But I think most of America is not there anymore. I know boxing was popular like 100 years ago when we had no idea how much damage being hit in the head does to you. When we didn't know about all these football players who have committed suicide or for that matter, soldiers. I mean, we were wondering why so many Vietnam vets were homeless and dying early and committing suicide. Why is it that we have over 20 vets every single day who commit suicide in the United States? Turns out one of the bigger pieces of it is traumatic brain injury, which is, I mean, just think about this for a minute. You know, when I was a kid, there were these shows on TV where the private detective or the good guy, if he wanted to take out the bad guy, instead of pulling out a giant machine gun and killing him, it hit him over the head with a sap, right? You know, with a sock full of nickels or rocks or BBs or whatever, you know, something hard, and knock them unconscious. Well, now we know that if you get hit in the head hard enough to be knocked unconscious, and you don't get really quick treatment for it, you can have what's called a traumatic brain injury, which can produce for the rest of your life clinical depression, suicidal depression, in addition to other disordered forms of thinking. So that's what Donald Trump is going to be doing on 9/11, and I just think this is crazy. Frankly, and I know CNN is going to have a special tonight about 9/11, I believe. No, it's MSNBC is going to have it. Well, everybody's going to have specials on 9/11. I mean, you know, today is the 8th, tomorrow is 9/11. What I'm going to be looking for on the 9/11 specials is, are any of them going to point out, as Sandy Berger pointed out on this program back in 2003, and we should, you know, sadly, my archives, I have never been one of those, like, you know, well-organized people who keeps track of everything. So I have no idea where this archive is. But you know, I would love to find it and play it again for you. But Sandy Berger, who was Bill Clinton's national security advisor, came on this program, and he told us just straight up that when the presidential transition was happening from George Bush, Dick Cheney, and Condoleezza Rice to Bill Clinton, let me start over. That when the presidential transition was happening from Bill Clinton, Al Gore, and Sandy Berger to George W. Bush, Don Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, and Condoleezza Rice, that he explicitly told Condoleezza Rice, his, you know, the person who was taking his job, that Osama bin Laden was planning to attack America, that he was seriously pissed off about our still having American soldiers on a Saudi Air Force base. And he knew, he had personal knowledge that Al Gore had told Dick Cheney the same thing, and that Bill Clinton had told George W. Bush the same thing. He got it. He knew it. And Bush said, okay, Dick Cheney, I'm putting you in charge of this 9/11 security. I mean, it wasn't 9/11 then, but I'll put you in charge of this Osama bin Laden thing. The Democrats are all hysterical about this. Bill Clinton says he's going to attack us. He actually had attacked us several times. He blew up a couple of our ships, the USS Cole, and there was another one. So he put Dick Cheney in charge of that, and Dick Cheney had two jobs that George W. Bush put him in charge of. That was one, counterterrorism, do something about bin Laden. And number two was figure out how to invade Iraq and how we're going to split up the oil fields and which American companies are going to get which oil fields and which ones we're going to sell off to foreigners when we take control of Iraq. Cheney's Iraq task force met multiple times. They drew up these elaborate maps. Larry Klayman, the right-wing head of Judicial Watch, sued under the Freedom of Information Act, got those maps and published them. And that's what Cheney was doing from January 20th of 2001 until 9/11. He had one meeting in, a couple of weeks before 9/11 of his terrorism task force, and as far as we can all tell, they had some coffee and ate some donuts. But they did nothing. Is that going to be discussed? Is it going to be discussed that the planning for 9/11 was done in Germany and in Florida and in Pakistan, not in Afghanistan? Sure, Osama bin Laden paid for it, and he was living in Afghanistan. And yeah, he did have a training camp in Afghanistan, but it was like it was like these guys in Midwestern states who go out in the woods and shoot up trees, practicing, in their camo guard. I mean, it had nothing to do with 9/11. None of those people went through 9/11. In fact, the 19 people who participated in 9/11, 7 of them were engineers. I mean, like mechanical engineers, like, college degree engineers. So, yeah, they knew how to take down a building with an airplane. 15 of them were Saudis. One was an Egyptian, one was a Lebanese, 2 were from the United Arab Emirates. None of them were from Afghanistan or Iraq. Is any of that going to be discussed in these commemoratives? What are you looking for in this? What lesson do you think America needs to learn from 9/11? Other than that on the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of it, our former president. Can you imagine if Obama was calling a boxing match tomorrow? Just think about that for a minute. President Obama is going to call a boxing match on 9/11 instead of going and laying a wreath. Can you imagine the freak out?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Be right back. I'm going to tell you about the Medicare Advantage scam and, what it means for America, frankly, not just people on Medicare. And welcome back. Janine in Fort Myers, Florida. Hey, Janine, thanks for watching us on YouTube. What's up?
Gosh, you're just like a national treasure. So appreciate your show.
Well, thank you.
I want to give you some verbal ammunition. I think it should be called the Filibuster because it kills bills and it kills democracy.
Ah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
You want one more?
Sure.
Republicans don't do very well with long-range thinking. As you've said, they're killing off their base by being anti-vaccine and anti-mask. But, these anti-abortion laws, largely affecting poor black women, will lead to a population explosion of black births.
Yeah, I sort of pointed that out last week. I'm very wary of basically talking to white supremacists, but you would think that the white supremacists in Texas would be saying, hey, wait a minute, let me get this straight. White women, by and large, this is why more than half of them voted for Trump. can afford to fly from Texas to, name your state and get an abortion. But black and Hispanic women, obviously not all are poor. There's a strong and substantial black and Hispanic middle class, actually, and there's a few very wealthy black and Hispanic people. But by and large, the pockets of poverty that exist in Texas are more black and Hispanic than they are white. And so they're not going to get abortions. They're going to, carry their babies to term. And so you're going to end up with more black and brown people and fewer white people. And, hey, white racists in Texas, have you figured this out? Maybe your governor is selling you out. Maybe you, you thought he was one of you. You thought he was a white racist, but here he is. I mean, like I said, Janine, I was reluctant to go down that road. In fact, my wife, who's a wise counselor and with Sean, the executive producer of this program, advised me against it, and I think she was right. But you have a point. It's like amplifying the whole white supremacist thing to go there too much. But yeah. And
in addition, it's more unwanted children, more prisons being full, more social work, necessary and support from greater society. It's really tragic.
Yeah, that's the real tragedy, and we saw this. We saw this in the 80s and 90s. After abortion was decriminalized in 1973, the number of unwanted children, the number of went down. The foundling homes essentially went out of business. Many of the child care facilities that existed back in the 80s and 90s, and Louise and I started one in the 1980s in New Hampshire, no longer exist. And it's because this large population of unwanted children that had come out of of abortion being illegal up until 73, and really functionally illegal until 74, 75. It just got, took a couple of years before it got easier to get an abortion. So that large population of unwanted children became the kids who, either desperately needed social or mental health services or were in prison. And crime has been going down steadily since the 1990s. It's at the lowest levels ever, if you separate out the last year and a half or so because of COVID. And there's a good argument to be made that that's why. And that's going to reverse. That trend is going to reverse itself. But, Greg Abbott will be long gone by then. I mean, that trend will reverse itself in another 15 years. So, Janine, thank you. Thank you for the call. Good to hear from you. It's 20 minutes past the hour. Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. So for this week's special video, for the supporters of our program that we put up over at ThomHartmann.com, I stepped into the Wayback Machine, and it's really remarkable when you go back over what President Obama accomplished and the Democrats in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, what they accomplished between 2008 and 2010 when they controlled Congress and the White House versus everything that the Republicans blocked. I mean, the Democrats in those 2 years, they saved Chrysler, they saved General Motors, they turned 800,000 monthly job losses into job gains. They increased spending and education spending, decreased the cost of student loans, all kinds of great stuff. But then when the Republicans took over, they blocked a veterans job bill, they blocked Wall Street reform, they blocked immigration reform, they blocked political ad disclosure. And this is just a little tip of the iceberg. You can see the whole video over at ThomHartmann.com. Welcome back. So today for my rant over at HartmannReport.com, I put up a chapter excerpt from my book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. And it's titled Time to End the Medicare Advantage Scam. And, last week, over 100 Democratic lawmakers signed a piece of legislation or introduced a piece of legislation, co-sponsored a piece of legislation that would drop the Medicare eligibility age from 65 to 60. And this just makes common sense, particularly in a time where we have apparently permanently lost at least 5 million jobs as a result of COVID and all the disruptions. Perhaps some are suggesting as many as 8 to 10 million jobs. And what's happening is increasingly those jobs that are still around are being filled by young people rather than older people. People over 60 are finding it harder and harder and harder to find a gig in the workplace. And so, hey, let's drop Medicare eligibility age to 60. And I would add, let's drop Social Security to 60, but that's a whole other argument. But that's just one, small problem that needs fixing, which is that, Medicare is at 65. The biggest problem, in my opinion, is Medicare Advantage, which is not Medicare. And this is the thing that most people don't realize, is that Medicare Advantage is a massive $1 trillion ripoff of the federal government, a ripoff of taxpayers, and frankly, a ripoff of many of the people who sign up for these so-called Advantage plans. And it's also one of the most effective ways that insurance companies can kill Medicare for all. Since about a third of all the people on Medicare, or who think they're on Medicare, are actually on Medicare Advantage plans. From its beginning, Medicare allowed private companies to offer insurance to people over 65. But it was a very, very tiny marginal part of the marketplace. But in 2003, with the Medicare Modernization Act of 2003, George W. Bush and his buddies pushed through this thing, allowing private companies to call their private policies Medicare Advantage and giving them reimbursement, not just for all their expenses, but for all their expenses based on this, this label, this tag, as it were. They're called the risk score. And so what they do, when in many cases, if you sign up for Medicare Advantage, they'll send a nurse out to your house. And you think, oh, wow, I'm getting personalized service. Well, what the nurse is actually doing is looking for things that can increase your risk score, which means that the Medicare Advantage company gets more money from the federal government, even though they don't provide you with services. For example, heart failure, right? Heart failure sounds like, oh my God, my heart failed. But in fact, it can be just a little tiny abnormality on your EKG that you just watch for the next 10 or 15 years because it means you might be at a little higher risk, but that's it. Or it might mean that, a week from now you're dead. But in either case, if they can identify that, then they make more money. They don't have to provide you with any more services, but they make more money. The same thing with depression. Have you ever been depressed? Well, yeah, I was kind of sad when my husband died. Well, did it last more than 2 weeks? Because here's the key. If it lasts less than 2 weeks, Medicare doesn't, the score, as it were, the risk score doesn't go up. If it lasts more than 2 weeks, like 1 day more than 2 weeks, suddenly Medicare gives these insurance companies piles of money. They don't have to share it with you. They don't have to do anything for you. And on top of that, they are just like robbing us blind. I mean, this is the Center for Public Integrity back in 2014 did this study, and here are some of the things they found. That risk scores, in other words, this way of trying to make it seem like people are more expensive, but they're not. Risk scores for Advantage patients rose sharply in 1,000 counties nationwide, boosting taxpayer costs by $36 billion over the costs. In other words, profit. In more than 200 of those counties, the cost of Medicare Advantage plans went as 25% higher than providing standard Medicare. And it goes on from there. It is, and by the way, if you've got if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, you can say, well, everything's wonderful. I had a guy tweet to me this morning, I've been on one for 10 years, had no problems. And I'm like, I'll bet you've never been seriously sick. Because when you get seriously sick, A, you're going to find it really hard to get reimbursed and you're going to get hit with things. Or B, even if you're not, you're going to discover that in the future, it's going to be really difficult dealing with these companies.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Because they want you when you're 65 to 75 and you're relatively healthy, but you get over 75 and start getting expensive, it's called lemon dropping in the industry. They get rid of you.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Well, welcome back to the second day of the Free Speech TV Fund Drive for this fall. It is such an extraordinary opportunity, frankly. I'm so happy to be here with you to encourage you to become part of this really cool television network. Right? I mean, there are bizarre television networks out there, particularly on the right. There are kind of plain vanilla television networks out there. There's a bunch of different kinds of television networks out there. Free Speech TV is unique. There is no other progressive television network. I mean, maybe a few little attempts on the internet and things, but nothing like this. Nothing that's on Dish, that's on Direct, that's on satellite TV all over the country, that's on Sling, that's on Apple, that's on Hulu, that's on Roku. I mean, we're everywhere. And you can tell your friends about Free Speech TV and help, with our evangelism effort. It's always a big challenge, right? Bring new people in. I mean, it's a big challenge for any business to do outreach, to do marketing, to do promotion. And so one of the things that I always try to remind you during these pledge drives is, A, we do need your money. Free Speech TV does need your support, right? And, whether it's $5 or $500, you're calling now 877-378-8669 and making a contribution is a big deal. And I know that there are some of you who are going, well, I just can't afford it right now. I live on a fixed income. My Social Security just barely covers everything, or whatever it may be, my pension, or my job, and it's just, I don't have any money left over to be passing along. It's fine. No harm, no foul. But what you can do is you can pass along free speech itself to your friends and neighbors. You can tell people about Free Speech TV. You can get them excited about Free Speech TV. You can get them to watch Free Speech TV. Hey, have you seen this Hartmann guy? Have you seen, he occasionally says something that's really, really useful. Or Randy Rhodes, I got to tell you. Or, hey, you want to have a hysterical, watch Stephanie or Sonali or David Pakman. I mean, there are some great people on this network. Just absolutely great programs on this network. You're not going to find it anywhere else. And we want to keep it going. Don't you? So please, at the very least, make a commitment that this week you're going to get at least one other person as enthusiastic about Free Speech TV as you are. And if you have the means, if you have the financial means, please call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Monthly contributions, making commitments, becoming members of the Sustainers Circle or whatever it's called here, the group of folks who are on a monthly basis helping out with Free Speech TV. That's great. That's even better, because then free speech can budget. But call now, 877-378-8669. There are a whole bunch of little goodies that Free Speech TV is offering with contributions to try to incentivize you to make a contribution. With a $20 gift, you get your choice of either the Free Speech TV kind of bumper sticker or the clear, kind of clingy plastic sticker that you can put in a window without leaving any kind of goop behind. Those stickers are $20, one or the other. With a $50 gift, there are two different designs for this Free Speech TV tote bag. And you can choose which one you want. They're both great. These are nice, high-quality, heavy-duty canvas tote bags. Great for, anything from groceries to bringing the towels to the beach or whatever. With a $75 gift, there's the black hat, the Free Speech TV hat. With also with a $75 gift, there's the official Thom Hartmann Free Speech TV mug. And with a $100 gift, you get the Free Speech TV notebook. You have your choice of the Free Speech TV notebook and pen or the Free Speech TV socks. Yes, we have socks. Isn't that cool? With a $120 gift, you can get an autographed copy of my new book that literally came out yesterday. Yesterday was the release date. It's The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich, with a great blurb from Ed Asner on the front cover. I put so much work into this book, and I really hope that you have an opportunity to read it, one way or another. That's available, an autographed copy with a $120 gift, or with a $120 gift, you can get a Free Speech TV t-shirt. The $240 gift, there's the Free Speech TV virtual meet and greet where we all get together on Zoom and have a conversation. With a $360 gift, there is the Thom Hartmann University box that Free Speech TV puts together, and they throw into that box a pair of Free Speech TV socks and the bumper sticker and an autographed copy of Hidden History of Healthcare and the mug and the hat. And, of course, with a $1,000 gift, get in line to come here to Portland when this epidemic or pandemic is over and we've got all this figured out and everybody's well vaccinated, and we'll get together and have a nice lunch together. But the bottom line is this network is your network, and it needs your support right now. 877-378-8669 is the phone number. Please call now, 877-378-8669. Our 1-hour free podcast recaps our show, and it's available wherever fine podcasts are found. And we have the full 3-hour podcast available over at thomhartmann.com if you want to really support our program. So there are actually some substantial differences between the Taliban, the Afghanistan Taliban, the group that has, you know, that Donald Trump signed what his Secretary of State his Defense Secretary and his National Security Advisor referred to as surrender documents to back in early 2020. There's a difference between the Taliban and ISIS, or even K-ISIS, which is how they're identifying the ISIS group that has emerged in Afghanistan. The main difference is that the Taliban's ambitions are largely confined to Afghanistan. They want to be a regional force. They were the government of Afghanistan before. They want to be the government of Afghanistan again. ISIS, on the other hand, wants to reestablish the entire caliphate across the Middle East, across Northern Africa, across parts of Southern Europe. And this is going to bring these two into conflict. I've got a whole video about this over at thomhartmann.com for folks who support the program. Check it out. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And I just got locked out of my one sheet here. It's crazy how that happens. Anyway, let's pick up some of your phone calls here. We've got this just disgusting. I said that Trump was going to be doing this tomorrow. Apparently, it's 9/11 is Saturday. So just to clean that up. And those excerpts were from my new book, which literally came out yesterday, available today, The Hidden History of American Healthcare: How Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. In the event I forgot to say that, I've got to do it and keep my publisher happy. Susan in Sarasota Springs, New York. Hey, Susan, what's on your mind today?
Thanks for taking my call, Tom.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's Saratoga Springs.
Oh, Saratoga. Okay, got it.
You know, going back to the Medicare Advantage scam that you were talking about earlier, I've been on Medicare Advantage for a few years, and they call me maybe every 3 months or so, and they want a nurse to come in. Now, I did allow a nurse to come in several years ago, but they keep calling me. They want this nurse to come in, and I'm being on Medicare. I look at cost, you know, and I said, well, there's not any reason for me to see a nurse. I get my physical. I know my doctor well. I get my blood work. I'm healthy. I'm active. And so, you know, of course, I always deny that. I had no idea it was a scam. I'm the kind of person, when you go and I get a script from my doctor at the pharmacy, I'll say, how much does this cost? And they'll say, oh, the copay is like $3. And I'll say, no, how much does it cost the Medicare program? You know, and they'll come back and they'll say, oh, well, it's $800. I'm like, no. And I'll call my doctor and I'll say, find me something as efficacious that's a lot more
Right,
cheaper.
give me the generic. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I know the doctors are pushed by these, you know, pharmaceutical reps to push a certain product that's new or whatever, advanced. But I'm really hit home with me on the scam because, you know, I always thought, geez, why do I have to have a nurse here?
They are looking for any little thing that doesn't actually require treatment, that the Medicare Advantage plan will not have to pay for you to do anything or to provide you any services, but that will increase the what's called your score. And the more people that they can have with a high, because Medicare doesn't reimburse Medicare Advantage on a per person basis. They don't reimburse your insurer for you. They do it based on raw numbers. So the insurer will go to Medicare and say, we have 10 million members, 5 million of them score at 1.3, 6 million of them score at 1.9, you know, whatever. I'm just making numbers up here, right? But that's how it works, and then they get reimbursed based on those numbers. So if they can increase the risk score numbers without actually increasing their costs, then they make huge amounts, I mean, literally billions of dollars in extra profits. And they have found that one of the most profitable ways to do that is to send out these nurses looking for things. And people love it. They think I'm getting extra health care, when in fact what it is a way of screwing the Medicare system. This is, you know, Medicare Advantage is draining Medicare faster than anything else. And this is one of the ways that these companies do it.
Now, Tom, would it be better for me to get off of the Medicare Advantage?
I can't offer you that kind of advice, Susan, but I can tell you that if I'm on Medicare, I've been on Medicare for 5 years, I would never, ever, ever go with Medicare Advantage. It's private health insurance. It's not Medicare. It doesn't have the protections of Medicare. I would never advise another person to do it. If it was, a friend or a parent, I would say don't do that. I would offer them that advice. The thing is, it can be a challenge. Here's the other big problem. If, and again, not speaking to you, Susan, but to anybody who's listening, as I mentioned this, but it was only one sentence in the article that I mentioned. When you first sign up for Medicare at 65, you can also sign up, because Medicare only covers 80% of costs. So there's this 20% gap that the Southern Democrats insisted Lyndon Johnson put in there so that black people wouldn't use Medicare, poor black people wouldn't use Medicare. This is when we still had segregated hospitals and segregated doctors' offices. So there's that 20% gap, so you've got to buy an insurance policy to fix that. They're called Medigap policies, and I always recommend that people use a company that has the word mutual in their name, because typically those companies are like credit unions. They're owned by their customers, and they do a better job generally. But in any case, when you turn 65, let's say you have some pre-existing conditions, you have diabetes, or you have, fill in the blank, right?
I'm 64, but I've been on Medicare because I'm on disability.
Okay, all right. Then this doesn't quite apply to you. So again, generally speaking to everybody else, not just to you, Susan. When you turn 65 and you sign up for Medicare and a Medigap plan to fill in that 20%, the insurance companies are required to take you, not charge you extra, regardless of your pre-existing conditions. However, if you sign up for a Medicare Advantage program when you turn 65, and a year later you say, hey, wait a minute, I'm tired of this, I want to go back to regular Medicare, you can go back to regular Medicare during that period from October to December, the qualification period, But if you go back to the insurance companies and say, and by the way, I'd like to buy a plan to fill in the 20%, they'll say, you have a pre-existing condition, we're not going to sell you a plan.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. I mean, it's like they've got you, and it is such a scam. And George W. Bush pushed this through in 2003 because this has been his lifelong mission. In 1978, George W. Bush ran for Congress. This was when his daddy was working for the CIA, I think, or maybe when he was in Congress. George W. Bush wanted to be a member of Congress from Texas, and his platform was privatizing Social Security and Medicare. He lost the election. It was not a popular thing. But that then, in 2005, when he got reelected, he famously said, I mean, you may remember the quote, he said, I've got a lot of political capital from winning this election and from this war in Iraq, and I'm going to use it. And what he did is he went on what was originally going to be a 23-city tour. He stopped it after like 12 or 13 cities, promoting the idea that we should turn Social Security over to the banks on Wall Street, and we should turn Medicare over to the big insurance companies, turn everything into Medicare Advantage. It got less popular the more he talked about it, and so by 2006, he quit talking about it. But, this was, the whole Medicare Advantage program was put together as a way of Number one, giving lots of profits to big donors to politicians, the health insurance companies. And number two, to destroy Medicare. And that's what's going on. Susan, I've got to move along, but thank you very much.
Thank you,
I appreciate the call. Jim in Fenton, Michigan. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind?
Hi, Tom. You got me?
I do. What's up, Jim?
Okay. I'm a state of Michigan retiree. I retired. I got my Medicare, and then I was forced off Medicare by the state. We all this.
How does that work?
We could. Well, they spin it as you had a choice. You could stay on your state of Michigan plan and stay on Medicare, but you would lose spouse coverage, dental, vision, prescription, and all those things that I worked for all those years as a state employee. If I didn't go to Medicare Advantage, they would, and just my spousal coverage would be, it's good insurance, so just that would be $2,000 a month.
So just to clarify, Jim, just so I understand, while you were a state employee, you were getting a health insurance policy that covered you and your spouse from a private for-profit health insurance company, which is normal. When you turned 65, the state or that company said, you no longer qualify for this policy you've been on because now you're 65, but we're the company you've been doing business with, so now you've got to pick up one of our Medicare Advantage programs, and if you don't, you're going to lose some of the benefits of this program that were negotiated by your state employees union back in the day, which includes the coverage for your spouse. Do I have that right?
Pretty much, except it was the state forcing the issue, and I was already on Medicare, and the state, after you retire, the state supplies what you would call the Medigap or the supplemental insurance.
Right.
After you retire, you get all the prescription, the dental, the whole bit.
Right.
And so my options were, my option was, you can keep your state retirement plan, but you're going to lose all this other stuff if you don't jump to Medicare Advantage. And one of my beefs here, and I hope you don't get me wrong because I'm not a right-wing troll, but one of my beefs here is this was done by a Democratic administration, Governor Whitmer, and this was Democrats in charge of Michigan and the state, and Governor Whitmer has close ties to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I think it was a kickback to Blue Cross Blue Shield.
It may well be.
So
This is, Republicans are not alone in taking money from big corporations and dancing to their tunes. I mean, the Supreme Court legalized this with Citizens United and a few previous decisions, and this is not unique to Republicans, and it's particularly safe, as it were, for Democrats to do this, to support Medicare Advantage, because most people don't have a clue what we're talking about here. They just don't know. Yeah. So, because of that, it's a whole lot easier to just, essentially stick it to people. Jim, thanks for the story. I didn't know that the states were getting in on this act as well. It's amazing. Jim, thanks for the call. It's 46 minutes past the hour. We'll be back with your calls in just a moment. Beyond disrespectful, Donald Trump and his boxing match. I see I've got some calls on that, too. We'll get to that as well. Stick around. We're rolling along. It's you and me all day, no guests.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Back with your calls right after this. And welcome back. I'm trying to log into PBWiki here, and it's not letting me. So I'll hang on. And that didn't work. Okay, let's screw that. Let's just pick up some phone calls here. I'm sorry. It's Mike in Wycliffe, Ohio. Hey, Mike, what's on your mind today?
Hello, Tom. That's Wycliffe, Ohio.
Wycliffe.
Not that it matters.
Okay, no, it's all good.
Ohio is one of the most ignorant states in the Union, run by Republicans, of course.
Yeah, it seems.
And one of the most corrupt states in the Union. But getting back to 9/11, I saw a wonderful program last night on PBS Frontline.
Mm-hmm.
I would urge yourself and your listeners to watch it. It's about 2 hours long, but specifically what it was from the very beginning, when the Russians were leaving, and how it led up to January the 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a startling program to watch. But you know what, Tom? I'm convinced, and I'll be 70 years old in a couple months, so I lived through the Vietnam era. No, we won't learn.
Yeah.
We never do.
Well, and there's huge financial interests on the side of war.
Of course. Specifically, the U.S. As long as the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and other right-wing entities operate this country, and they do, it will be never-ending.
And there's also political interests. I mean, you know, the most famous kings of Europe were the ones who ran wars. Some of our most famous presidents were the ones, you know, Lincoln, FDR, who ran wars. War is something that is rarely a bad bet for a president. And nobody's even remembering George W. Bush lying us into 2 wars. You know,
believe me, Tom, the program gets into that in depth.
Oh, fascinating.
And it's just a tremendous program. But I'm not sure if it was Michael Moore that said, and I mean, this hits it right on the head. With this country, ignorance leads to fear, and fear leads to hate.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I got out of that program.
Yeah, fear is almost always the basis of hate. Yeah, I'm with you.
And I mean, it just, it's so depressing, but I don't see how it would end, because it seems to me, and you might have said it, where George Bush was at one of these international meetings, and someone came up to him and asked him what the United States makes, and he said to them, "We make war."
I don't recall that, but you know.
It just, so at any rate, Tom, if you get the time, and it is, like I said, it is 2 hours long, but it's just tremendous.
It's on PBS, you said.
On PBS Frontline.
Frontline. Oh, Frontline does great investigative reporting. Mike, thank you for that.
Okay, you bet, Tom.
Yep, and thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV there in Ohio. We'll be right back. It's coming up on 10 minutes before the hour. I've got to read an ad over on the commercial side, and I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. Stick around. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. So we've got a new video up about the Senate Leadership Fund and the Congressional Leadership Fund, the SLF and the CLF. Nice, innocent-sounding names, right? Leadership funds and Senate and Congress, but they're Republican super PACs that are taking millions and millions of dollars from fossil fuel and other dirty industries and from right-wing billionaires, and recycling that money directly into the campaigns. In fact, in several cases, actually running on-the-ground get-out-the-vote efforts for Republican members of Congress, running the entire television operation for some of these members of Congress. Lauren Boebert received over $900,000 from the Congressional Leadership Fund so that she could take the 3rd District of Colorado. It's an amazing story. They spent $437 million just in the last election. This is poisoning this money, poisoning our democracy. It's all over at ThomHartmann.com. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And it's like, where is all this going, right? Where is all this going? John in Detroit. Hey, John, what's on your mind?
I'm in complete agreement with you about the insurance companies on the Medicare Advantage things basically running a scam, and I think it's really well documented in accounting things done by Congress and the GAO. But I would like to just think two small points to further clarify that. One is there's not any debate that it's happening, and the second point is that the underlying problem is the mechanism that makes it so that they can ask for more money is basically a problem and a form of corporate welfare.
Oh, yeah.
And that the companies sign a contract, and if they were a normal insurance company not being funded by the United States of America's taxpayers, they would have to buy reinsurance for their excess risk. And now, with the way it's set up now, is they don't buy reinsurance. They save all the money that they would spend on those premiums, and that just goes to profit, even if they weren't falsifying the data of how sick their people were.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I know that liability companies, like companies that provide flood insurance and home insurance and things like that, fire insurance, they all buy what's backstopped by reinsurance companies, and there are these. Swiss Re is the largest in the world. There are these companies that only sell insurance to insurance companies. And so if there's a disaster like happened in Texas last February, or like happened, in the Gulf Coast all the way up to New York the last week, a lot of those insurance companies are going to be hit so hard that they're going to be calling in policies from their reinsurance companies. But I had no idea that reinsurance companies were also offering reinsurance to health insurance companies. Is that something that they're going to be calling on as a result of COVID? Do you know anything about that, John, or is this?
No, what I'm saying is they haven't had to. They don't have to.
Well, they haven't had to up until recently, but they've got to be. I mean, we've had over 30 million people diagnosed with COVID in the United States. There's got to be a lot of expenses to the insurance companies. That's
true. Now they may have some separate coverage for that. I'm not sure especially for the people who are not on Medicare. Yeah, it's remarkable. The ones on Medicare, you and I are the reinsurance company. Yeah, there you go. Through the government, with our taxes. John, thank you for that. Thank you very much. Ed in Chicago. Hey, Ed, what's up?
Yeah, Tom, I'm wondering, pretend that you're me and I'm calling my representative about Medicare Advantage.
Right.
Like, I'd like to get rid of the commercials on TV.
Right.
How can I put it as succinctly as possible when I'm speaking to my representatives? And I'll hang up and listen. I have learned, Ed, Representative Ed, my congressman, I have learned, Ed, that Medicare Advantage is actually private insurance. It's not real Medicare, and that it is draining the Medicare Trust Fund, and that it's ripping people off, including the government. And I'm disgusted by that. And I would like you to do what you can to end Medicare Advantage and instead strengthen regular Medicare. And by the way, if we're going to strengthen regular Medicare, let's get rid of that 20% gap. But I'm not even sure I'd add that part, because typically the interns who take your calls can write down one thing or put one check on a little database about who why you called, what you called about. And then your member of Congress will see, oh yeah, we had 35 calls about getting rid of Medicare Advantage, and we had 22 calls about expanding, doing away with the 20% gap, or whatever it may be. So I would keep it to one point and just say, I've learned that Medicare Advantage is a scam for the insurance companies. It's hurting Medicare, and you need to do something about it. You need to clean this up. And they're ripping off the government. They're ripping us all off. That's what I would say. Ed, thank you. Thank you for the call. Thanks for putting it that way. That was brilliant. We will continue right after this.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at HelloFresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.
We say fight back!
Back to the second day of the Free Speech TV Fund Drive for this fall. It is such an extraordinary opportunity, frankly. I'm so happy to be here with you to encourage you to become part of this really cool television network. Right? I mean, there are bizarre television networks out there, particularly on the right. There are kind of plain vanilla television networks out there. There's a bunch of different kinds of television networks out there. Free Speech TV is unique. There is no other progressive television network. I mean, maybe a few little attempts on the internet and things, but nothing like this. Nothing that's on Dish, that's on Direct, that's on satellite TV all over the country, that's on Sling, that's on Apple, that's on Hulu, that's on Roku. I mean, we're everywhere. And you can tell your friends about Free Speech TV and help with our evangelism effort. It's always a big challenge, right? Bring new people in. I mean, it's a big challenge for any business to do outreach, to do marketing, to do promotion. And so one of the things that I always try to remind you during these pledge drives is, A, we do need your money. Free Speech TV does need your support, right? And, whether it's $5 or $500, you're calling now 877-378-8669 and making a contribution is a big deal. And I know that there are some of you who are going, well, I just can't afford it right now. I live on a fixed income. My Social Security just barely covers everything, or whatever it may be, my pension, or my job, and it's just, I don't have any money left over to be passing along. It's fine. No harm, no foul. But what you can do is you can pass along free speech itself to your friends and neighbors. You can tell people about Free Speech TV. You can get them excited about Free Speech TV. You can get them to watch Free Speech TV. Hey, have you seen this Hartmann guy? Have you seen, he occasionally says something that's really, really useful. Or Randy Rhodes, I got to tell you. Or, hey, you want to have a hysterical, watch Stephanie or Sonali or David Pakman. I mean, there are some great people on this network. Just absolutely great programs on this network. You're not going to find it anywhere else. And we want to keep it going. Don't you? So please, at the very least, make a commitment that this week you're going to get at least one other person as enthusiastic about Free Speech TV as you are. And if you have the means, if you have the financial means, please call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Monthly contributions, making commitments, becoming members of the Sustainers Circle or whatever it's called here, the group of folks who are on a monthly basis helping out with Free Speech TV. That's great. That's even better, because then free speech can budget. But Call now, 877-378-8669. There are a whole bunch of little goodies that Free Speech TV is offering with contributions to try to incentivize you to make a contribution. With a $20 gift, you get your choice of either the Free Speech TV kind of bumper sticker or the clear, kind of clingy plastic sticker that you can put in a window without leaving any kind of goop behind. Those stickers are $20, one or the other. With a $50 gift, there are 2 different designs for this Free Speech TV tote bag. And you can choose which one you want. They're both great. These are nice, high-quality, heavy-duty canvas tote bags. Great for, anything from groceries to bringing the towels to the beach or whatever. With a $75 gift, there's the black hat, the Free Speech TV hat. With also with a $75 gift, there's the official Thom Hartmann Free Speech TV mug. And with a $100 gift, you get the Free Speech TV notebook. You have your choice of the Free Speech TV notebook and pen or the Free Speech TV socks. Yes, we have socks. Isn't that cool? With a $120 gift, you can get an autographed copy of my new book that literally came out yesterday. Yesterday was the release date. It's The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich, with a great blurb from Ed Asner on the front cover. I put so much work into this book, and I really hope that you have an opportunity to read it, one way or another. That's available, an autographed copy with a $120 gift, or with a $120 gift, you can get a Free Speech TV t-shirt. The $240 gift, there's the Free Speech TV virtual meet and greet, where we all get together on Zoom and have a conversation. With a $360 gift, there is the Thom Hartmann University box that Free Speech TV puts together, and they throw into that box a pair of Free Speech TV socks and the bumper sticker and an autographed copy of Hidden History of Healthcare and the mug and the hat. And of course, with a $1,000 gift, get in line to come here to Portland when this epidemic or pandemic is over and we've got all this figured out and everybody's well vaccinated, and we'll get together and have a nice lunch together. But the bottom line is, this network is your network, and it needs your support right now. 877-378-8669 is the phone number. Please call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you in this hour. I wanted to get into this question of death panels. We can call it that. I mean, why aren't these selfish anti-vaxxers, the people who say, I'm going to do my own research on the internet and find out about this stuff, and I know better than the doctors do, or the FDA or the CDC, and ouchie Fauci and all that, and so I'm going to, and then they end up in the hospital. Why aren't they the ones whose health care is being rationed? It's actually, it's starting in Idaho, right? Brad Little is the Republican governor of Idaho, and he had activated members of the National Guard because we've got this happening. One of my kids, we saw them over the weekend for our daughter's birthday party, and there's National Guard in the hospital where she works. It's like the National Guard is here to help out, and part of it is that there have been several thousand doctors and nurses who have died in the last year and a half of COVID. Number one. Number two, you've got people just experiencing extreme burnout, and some of them leaving the profession. And then number three, we have a healthcare system that was designed in large part since the 1980s to maximize profit and efficiency, and it just was not prepared for a pandemic. And so as a consequence of this, we now have, Idaho has now officially gone to what they call crisis standards of care. What that means is that hospitals are, in the triage process, in the initial evaluation process of bringing people into a hospital, they're asking the question, okay, we've got 8 beds, we've got 12 people. Which 8 of these 12 people are most likely to survive? They get the beds. The other 4 people, you guys, you can sit in the waiting room. Maybe we can find you a cot in the basement. You can go home, but you're not going to get the echo machine. You're not going to get the intubation. You're not going to get the, because we don't have it. Hawaii is very concerned that they may have to move to the same thing, fairly quickly. The director of one of these hospitals in Idaho, his name is Dave Jepson, he said, crisis standards of care is a last resort. It means we have exhausted our resources to the point that our healthcare systems are unable to provide the treatment that we care and expect. Now, why is this happening in Idaho? Well, it could have something to do with the fact that in Idaho, only 40% of people are hospitalized. And it's, by the way, up to this moment, in the 4 minutes here I've been talking, I've been putting this in the context of COVID. But really, there's a much larger context here. Hospitals aren't normally empty, right? I mean, certainly typically there's a certain number of available beds and things like that, but we still have car accidents. We still have people getting diagnosed with cancer. We still have people breaking their bones. We still have people who get pneumonia from things other than COVID. We still have diseases that require hospitalization. Betsy Phillips was one of those people. She had a surgery scheduled on Friday. She's got something going on in her chest that is progressively getting worse and worse. They don't detail it in the article. My guess, from reading the articles, it's some sort of a benign tumor because it's constricting her ability to breathe. It's cutting off her ability to breathe. And she was going to have surgery on Friday to take care of this. And they called up and said, I'm sorry, we can't do your surgery. And she's like, why can't, in a few months I might not be able to breathe at all. Why can't you do my surgery? Because our hospital is filled with COVID people who are unvaccinated. And by the way, let's be very, very clear. Well over 90% of all the people in the hospital who have COVID are unvaccinated. And in some cases, it's well over 95%. And the people who are getting COVID and are in the hospital and are dying tend to be people who are well over 70 years old, have pre-existing conditions, and in many cases, because of their age, because of their pre-existing conditions, their bodies just didn't take the vaccine and create the kind of immunity that a younger, healthier person would, or even an older, healthier person would do. So bottom line, for those of us who are reasonably healthy and got our vaccines, we're not the ones showing up in the hospitals. We're not the ones who are dying. There's this very small subset of people who are vaccinated who are very old or very sick who are in the hospitals or dying of COVID. But the vast majority of them, well over 90%, in most states, well over 95%. I've seen in one hospital it was 99%. In another hospital it was 100%. I did that report for you yesterday on this program. 100% of the people who were in the hospital and 100% of the people who had died in that hospital, I forget what state it was now, it was down south, were unvaccinated. So we've got these selfish SOBs out there, or deluded or sad or, sadly deluded. I have very mixed feelings about this. Right? The people who, they go on the internet to get their medical advice and they decide not to get vaccinated and to take, horse deworming paste to keep themselves safe. Like, they don't believe in science and they know better than doctors. But then as soon as they can't breathe and their lips start turning blue and their blood oxygen is going below 80% and they're in a crisis, what do they want? Take me to a hospital. Suddenly they believe? Anyhow, this Betsy Phillips, this was published in the Nashville Scene yesterday, Tuesday. She was told, sorry, your surgery is not going to happen. She says, until Friday, I can't remember the last time I cried so hard. She was told, you'll be among the last surgeries to be canceled because of COVID due to how dire your situation is. She said, I did everything asked of me for the past 18 months. I did my part to get COVID over with as quickly as possible. In other words, she got vaccinated and she stayed away and she wore masks and things. And all these people who did not do their part are clogging up the hospital. They are selfish ass blanks. She said, F them. I'm so pissed. If you're, and then she goes on to say, if you're too sick to do it, but unvaccinated COVID patients should have to be the ones to call people like me. This is an interesting thought. She said the problem is, of course, most of these people in the hospital who are unvaccinated are too sick to make a phone call. But if they're not too sick to make a phone call, instead of the nurse calling her and saying, I'm sorry, we can't schedule your surgery because we've got a bunch of unvaccinated fools here in the hospital, she said it should have been the unvaccinated COVID patients should be the ones to call people like me and tell us that we can't have the surgery we were counting on because of them. And my God, can you imagine the trauma of having to call multiple people and hearing them all in despair? She watched a video of the governor. This is happening in Nashville, Tennessee. Bill Lee is the Republican governor. And there's this video that's kind of gone viral. It's all over Twitter and whatnot of Bill Lee being chased down the hall, essentially, by the press, who are asking him, why will you not allow schools to at least mandate masks for kids? And he's literally running away from the press. And she says, I was feeling utter contempt for him. She goes on to say, the unvaccinated in this state have told me, not literally, but this is the message they're sending. The unvaccinated in this state have told me that they will harm others to get their way. I have evidence based on my own experience that this is true. I have been harmed now by people refusing to get vaccinated. I will be very wary of them for the rest of my days. Patient, the article is by Bob Brigham over at rawstory.com. Patient livid after hospital canceled surgery due to COVID surge. I cried so hard I had a headache. This is happening all over the country. And remember the Republicans who were all hysterical, and the Tea Partiers, all those white people out there in the Tea Parties, because the black president was proposing national health care. Death panels. Oh, my God, Sarah Palin. Oh, my God, death panels. And now hospitals are actually doing this.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
These hospitals are having to decide who's going to get health care and who's not, thanks to these Republican lies about COVID and about horse paste. And welcome back. Let's see here. Diane in Hazel Crest, Illinois. Hey, Diane, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. I recently was able to sign up for Medicare. Mm-hmm. And I received a letter from Advocate Healthcare, which is a major provider in Chicagoland area, listing a lot of the Medigap policies that will be available to me when I decide to choose one. Mm-hmm. On this letter, it mentions Blue Cross Medicare Advantage, it mentions Aetna, it mentions United Healthcare Medicare Advantage. My question to you is, are these the Medicare Advantage policies that you've been warning people about as scams? And
yes.
I have been telling my friends this and been trying to point this out because I've been watching you for God knows how long, and thank you for writing your book. And I've been telling them you need to try to get out of these because these are scams. But they're just, not listening to me. And I just wanted to make sure that these were the type of Medicare Advantage plans that you've been warning people about.
Anything that has the word advantage in it is one of these scams, period.
Okay.
Now, what Donald Trump did was, well, actually it was Seema Verma, who was his director of Medicare services, but, you know, this was the Trump administration. What they did, it used to be that if you contacted Medicare or Social Security or went to their website and you wanted to know about Medicare, and they would tell you about Medicare, and they would tell you about the Medigap plans and how Medicare works and have all these details. And then, you know, kind of down at the bottom, there would be there's also this private alternative called Medicare Advantage, and here's information about that. And it was all straightforward, and it was all fairly honest. They completely changed that during the Trump administration, so that now the information coming from the federal government and on the federal websites, and I believe that this has not yet changed under the Biden administration, openly and nakedly promotes a Medicare Advantage over Medicare with Medigap. And it may be that a number of states have done that. I can't speak to, you know, the piece of paper that you're looking at, you know, in Illinois. But if it has the word Medicare Advantage, they are not trying to sell you a Medigap plan. They are trying to get you off Medicare and onto privatized Medicare Advantage.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck. Good luck, Diane. Janet in San Diego. Hey, Janet, what's up?
Hey, Tom. First-time caller, long-time listener. Saw you on David Pakman's show the other day. It was great. Thank you. I was a flight attendant, and my company was taken over by American Airlines, and they laid us all off after that. And long story short, when we retired from the layoff, we got Medicare, and now this year they switched us all, the retirees, to Medicare Advantage PPO.
Right, because they're getting a kickback from the company.
Right, United Healthcare. So how do I'm on a fixed income, obviously, because I lost my flight attendant career of 30 years. So how do I get off of it? And if it's so expensive to have a Medigap, how do I do this?
You have to, first of all, you have to wait until October to the the period. Janet, I can't give you specific advice about, you know, personally advice, but I would I don't know. Do you have an insurance agent?
No, no. Yeah. Maybe another caller might have done it.
Do some research on what's available to you for Medigap and Medicare for the Medigap plans. Janet, I'm sorry I got to run, but thank you for the call. I wish you the very best. Share the Thom Hartmann Program with your friends. We're available on SiriusXM, Free Speech TV, Pacifica, commercial stations nationwide, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, on the Thom Hartmann app, and you can even tell your smart speaker to listen to the Thom Hartmann Program. So Rand Paul is now echoing Louis Gohmert. Remember Louis Gohmert back in the day, back in the after 9/11, when he was talking about terror babies. There's Muslims coming to the United States to have babies who will be citizens, and we can't kick them out anymore, and then they're going to grow up and they're going to be terrorists. Yeah, and we all kind of laughed at Louis Gohmert. So now Rand Paul is talking about how the Biden administration is taking kids from down at the border who may have it, you know, COVID, and they're plucking them up and putting them all over the United States as if they're wishing to seed the country with a new variant. Right. But that's not half of it. Then he goes on to say that, for him, quote, the bottom line for those who are saying I won't go to a restaurant unless everybody's vaccinated, he says, mind your own business. Well, Rand, it is our business. Public health is all of our businesses. I've got a whole new rant about Rand Paul's bizarre take on the public good over at thomhartmann.com. It's a video. You can check it out there. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you and Ziggy in Oneida, New York. Hey, Ziggy, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, and it's Oneonta, New York.
Oneonta. And, thank you.
Yes, you got it. What I do every day is I receive your rant via email, and I use that as a basis to write the president, my two senators, and my congressman via email on the subject that you sent out. So for today, my email to them was to end the Medicare Advantage scam. And I was thinking if more people also did that, we could get more exposure to our subjects, possibly with our elected officials.
Very cool. Yeah, and my daily rant, which is typically my opening rant on the show, but Louise and I write it the night before and the morning of. I mean, we worked on it for about an hour this morning before we published it. Is at hartmannreport.com, and it's free, and it's got no ads, and we don't sell our list or anything like that. So it's there as our version of a public service. Ziggy, that's great. Thank you. Thanks for the idea. By the way, there's another point that I wanted to make here. Just a very quick rant, and then I'll pick up your phone calls. As I said, we have no guests today. It's you and me. We're going to have a wonderful day, a fascinating day. And that is this idea that, and Mark Sumner laid this out brilliantly over at Daily Kos, and I want to give him credit for it. He's one of the best writers out there. Mark Sumner and Hunter, are, between the two of them, and Gabe Ortiz when it comes to immigration things, as well as others. Marcos has got some great people writing for him. This was titled, "Attacks on Masks in Schools Aren't Just About Masks. They're an attempt to destroy public education." And I want to go even beyond what Mark was pointing out. Back in the 70s, Ronald Reagan, when he was trying to make his national chops to run for president in 1980, Ronald Reagan was pushing for a requirement that every school in America have prayer every day, prayer in school. In fact, there was talk about a prayer in school constitutional amendment, prayer in school laws. Prayer in school was like a major battleground. Then there was the sex ed battleground around the same time, and in the 80s and in the early 90s. Sex education in schools, how we've got to have abstinence-only sex education. Reagan actually put that into place, and that was in 1982 or 83. He put into place a federal program to provide curriculum to schools all over the country. It was a well-funded program that was abstinence-only education. No mentioning of condoms, no mentioning of birth control pills, no mentioning of abortion, of course. Girls, boys won't want to marry you if you're not a virgin when you get married. And boys, you don't want to get sexually transmitted diseases from those girls. That's the essence of it, right? And that got, by the Obama administration, that got defunded in 2010. And Trump brought it back and tripled the funding for this. And so a lot of states are doing this. And so this is like the school boards. Our public schools have been battlegrounds for a long time. That's just one example. There are other examples. The other one, obviously, right now that everybody's talking about is the teaching of the actual racial history of the United States, the so-called critical race theory, and how it's being banned in state after state and all this kind of stuff. But what we're finding at these school board meetings is that these people showing up who don't have children, who are members of right-wing militias and white supremacist groups, and are shouting about Nazism and masks and vaccine mandates and all this kind of stuff, there is a hidden agenda here. And the hidden agenda isn't just indoctrinate the next generation. That's a piece of it, which is why they're all hysterical about the teaching of history. But a larger piece of it is literally to destroy public education. When David Koch ran for president in 1980 on the Libertarian ticket, part of his platform was to end all free public education. Libertarians have been pitching this forever. This isn't just David Koch, who's now passed along. This is their thing. Public education is socialism. We can't have this. We've got to have education being provided by churches and by billionaires and by for-profit schools. And so by forcing teachers to expose themselves to deadly diseases and turning our public schools into hotbeds of disease, what comes out of that? More private schools, more opportunities for grifters and hustlers to make a buck. And by the way, more whites-only private schools. And then you just, leave the public schools. Yeah, of course we want to have a few public schools for the black people and the Hispanic people and this is where they're going.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
These people showing up at these school board meetings, they want to destroy public education, not fix it. They are not patriots. They're saboteurs.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Well, welcome back to the second day of the Free Speech TV Fund Drive for this fall. It is such an extraordinary opportunity, frankly. I'm so happy to be here with you to encourage you to become part of this really cool television network. Right? I mean, there are bizarre television networks out there, particularly on the right. There are kind of plain vanilla television networks out there. There's a bunch of different kinds of television networks out there. Free Speech TV is unique. There is no other progressive television network. I mean, maybe a few little attempts on the internet and things, but nothing like this. Nothing that's on Dish, that's on Direct, that's on satellite TV all over the country, that's on Sling, that's on Apple, that's on Hulu, that's on Roku. I mean, we're everywhere. And you can tell your friends about Free Speech TV and help, with our evangelism effort. It's always a big challenge, right? Bring new people in. I mean, it's a big challenge for any business to do outreach, to do marketing, to do promotion. And so one of the things that I always try to remind you during these pledge drives is, A, we do need your money. Free Speech TV does need your support, right? And, whether it's $5 or $500, you're calling now 877-378-8669 and making a contribution is a big deal. And I know that there are some of you who are going, well, I just can't afford it right now. I live on a fixed income. My Social Security just barely covers everything, or whatever it may be, my pension, or my job, and it's just, I don't have any money left over to be passing along. It's fine. No harm, no foul. But what you can do is you can pass along free speech itself to your friends and neighbors. You can tell people about Free Speech TV. You can get them excited about Free Speech TV. You can get them to watch Free Speech TV. Hey, have you seen this Hartmann guy? Have you seen, he occasionally says something that's really, really useful. Or Randy Rhodes, I got to tell you, or hey, you want to have a hysterical, watch Stephanie, or Sonali, or David Pakman. I mean, there are some great people on this network. Just absolutely great programs on this network. You're not going to find it anywhere else. And we want to keep it going. Don't you? So please, at the very least, make a commitment that this week you're going to get at least one other person as enthusiastic about Free Speech TV as you are. And if you have the means, if you have the financial means, please call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Monthly contributions, making commitments, becoming members of the Sustainers Circle or whatever it's called here, the group of folks who are on a monthly basis helping out with Free Speech TV. That's great. That's even better, because then free speech can budget. But call now, 877-378-8669. There are a whole bunch of little goodies that Free Speech TV is offering with contributions to try to incentivize you to make a contribution. With a $20 gift, you get your choice of either the Free Speech TV kind of bumper sticker, or the clear, kind of clingy plastic sticker that you can put in a window without leaving any kind of goop behind. Those stickers are $20, one or the other. With a $50 gift, there are two different designs for this Free Speech TV tote bag. And you can choose which one you want. They're both great. These are nice, high-quality, heavy-duty canvas tote bags. Great for, anything from groceries to bringing the towels to the beach or whatever. With a $75 gift, there's the black hat, the Free Speech TV hat. With also with a $75 gift, there's the official Thom Hartmann Free Speech TV mug. And with a $100 gift, you get the Free Speech TV notebook. You have your choice of the Free Speech TV notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV socks. Yes, we have socks. Isn't that cool? With a $120 gift, you can get an autographed copy of my new book that literally came out yesterday. Yesterday was the release date. It's The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich, with a great blurb from Ed Asner on the front cover. I put so much work into this book, and I really hope that you have an opportunity to read it. one way or another. That's available, an autographed copy with a $120 gift, or with a $120 gift, you can get a Free Speech TV t-shirt. The $240 gift, there's the Free Speech TV virtual meet and greet where we all get together on Zoom and have a conversation. With a $360 gift, there is the Thom Hartmann University box that Free Speech TV puts together, and they throw into that box a pair of Free Speech TV socks and the bumper sticker and an autographed copy of Hidden History of Healthcare and the mug and the hat. And, of course, with a $1,000 gift, get in line to come here to Portland when this epidemic or pandemic is over and we've got all this figured out and everybody's well vaccinated, and we'll get together and have a nice lunch together. But the bottom line is this network is your network, and it needs your support right now. 877-378-8669 is the phone number. Please call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you. Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. We have a new video over at ThomHartmann.com for the folks who support our program, and it's this one's a geeky science one. And it's about this little snippet of genetic material, what's called microRNA. And the name of this one is called MIR1, M-I-R-1. And we've known for years that when muscles are used, when I'm talking about, exercise to the point where you feel fatigue in your muscles, that when exercises are, when muscles are exercised, it depletes them of MIR1. What they didn't know is where that MIR1 goes and what it does. And it turns out that our fat cells draw the MIR1 in from the muscles, and it causes the fat cells to start converting themselves into fatty acids that can be used to feed the muscles. So we're not just building muscle, but we're also reducing fat in our body. It's absolutely fascinating. Go into depth on it in this new video. It's over at ThomHartmann.com. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And just pick up all our calls here. Phyllis in Denver. Hey, Phyllis, what's on your mind today?
Hi. I've been through the Medicare Advantage Plan and GAP, and I had disability before I turned 65. So I got the Advantage Plan, not knowing, understanding it completely. And there was a ceiling of like $2,000 out of pocket, which after a year or two, they took away. They just dropped that. And then I got cancer. And my part of the payment for the chemo and the radiation was $10,000.
Wow. Wow.
And it was $75 a day for the radiation for 30 days, and then 20% of the chemo. And it came out to $10,000. And what I found out was that I could switch to a Medigap plan when I turned 65.
Right.
And I went ahead and did that because, I had the type of cancer that comes back, and they can't underwrite you at that point.
Right. Yeah,
so,
if you have a pre-existing condition when you turn 65 and you go with Medicare Advantage, you may never be able to get back on regular Medicare with a Medigap plan.
Yeah, and people don't understand that because they think because of Obamacare that,
the pre-existing conditions don't matter anymore, but they do here.
What?
I'm sorry, I was finishing your sentence for you. I shouldn't have done that. Phyllis, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just that, when you're on Medicare, they made an exemption. You can't switch. You cannot switch. You have to be underwritten.
Right.
So, and you could change as long as you don't have any underlying problems.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Once you have an underlying problem, you can't go to Medigap.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many of my friends think that you can until I tell them, and then they forget anyway. But the other thing is, I remember when the Advantage Plan was passed, they got like 113% instead of 100% of what other companies got. They would pay
because they have to have their profit.
Yeah, they wound up with an extra 13%.
Yeah, and it's higher than that now. It's much higher than that now. Plus, not to mention all the massive fraud that is in these programs that that the government is just like largely ignoring. Certainly was not just ignoring, but encouraging during the Trump administration. Anything to drain Medicare, anything to try and harm that system, because it's socialized medicine after all. Phyllis, thank you for sharing your story with us. I truly appreciate it. Mark in Sydney, Ohio. Hey, Mark, you wanted to respond to the woman who called earlier and said, okay, I'm on a Medicare Advantage program. I'm not sure how to get back onto regular Medicare with a Medigap plan. You have an answer?
Correct. Okay. And this is per the Medicare website that they give. There's 3 ways of doing it. The first one they list is to contact the insurance company you have the Medicare Advantage with, tell them you want to be removed of that, return to original Medicare. That wouldn't be my preference. Right. The other 2 is to go to your local Social Security office, tell them you want off of the Medicare Advantage and back on the original Medicare, and they will handle all the paperwork, everything, to return you back to get you off of that and return you back to it. And the third option is just to call Medicare themselves, the Medicare office, and tell them that
the big challenge, though,
they
is
will handle it.
If after the age of 65 you started with Medicare Advantage, the privatized stuff, and you developed a condition, you got gallstones or whatever, you developed a condition. Now you have a pre-existing condition. And so now if you drop the Medicare Advantage and you go back to Medicare with the Medigap providers can refuse to sell you insurance because that's the one area where pre-existing conditions can bite you in the butt.
Yeah, you have a time period of 3 months before the month of your birthday and 3 months after to get into the Medigap program. And there's no medical questions asked or anything else.
Correct.
If you wait until after the 3 months after your month of birth, then they can ask you those questions. And yeah, if you have a pre-existing condition, they can deny you coverage, or they can give you coverage at a much higher rate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a touchy situation in that, and getting on the Medicare Advantage to start with is not the right thing to do.
And that's why you get Joe Namath on TV going, I'll get you all kinds of things. I'll get you hearing aids. I'll get you glasses. I'll send you $100 a month.
Yeah.
Please get on these programs. Because he's making a whole pile of money from this, because the companies hiring him are making a whole pile of money off it. It's like I said, it's a scam. Anyhow, Mark, thank you for that. Thanks for the details, and thanks for doing the homework. Gus in Chicago. Hey, Gus, what's on your mind today?
How you doing, Tom? Been a while. Yeah, I respond to when you were talking about the lady in Tennessee couldn't get her surgery. Thank God nothing that serious with me, but long story short, I get every month and a half an IV treatment, and I had to see my general practitioner. Because of Corona, they had to keep rescheduling me and delaying me to a point where I wasn't able to see my general practitioner, and it wasn't until the summer I was able to get my IV treatment. And the funny thing was, one of my, long story short, one of my heart medications expires. I have hypertension. And when I went to a dentist, they go, well, we can't treat you because your blood pressure's too high. I go, I haven't been able to see a doctor because they got so many people with the Corona thing, I can't even get a phone call. I'm finally going to get one with my doctor this month, but I understand what she's going through, because basically, thanks to so many people either not getting vaccinated or getting sick from it, especially in the early years, there wasn't enough staff to do regular medical stuff.
Right, and now
even my insurance was screwing with me.
Right, and now it's the unvaccinated who are making life miserable for the rest of us. And that, by the way, in my opinion, is part of the plan. Crash the economy, and blame it on the Democrats and on Joe Biden. I'm seeing the headlines on the right-wing news sites literally every day Biden is failing. Biden can't stop COVID. Biden this, Biden that. No, I'm sorry. COVID, the blue states and the blue cities are doing just fine, thank you very much, with regard to COVID. Mm-hmm. The problem we've got here in Portland is not people in Portland who are getting sick and ending up in the Portland hospitals. It's people from the red counties that voted for 80% for Donald Trump, whose little tiny hospitals only have 3 beds. Yeah, and they're showing up at our hospital, and in our hospital here, where 2 of my kids work, I can tell you from personal experience. Wow. And the hospitals are being overwhelmed by people who are not from the blue areas, they're from the red areas. This is not a national problem, and it makes me crazy when you get this reporting that says that America is divided over COVID and all this kind of nonsense, because 70% of America is vaccinated and wants to be vaccinated, and well over 60% of America even thinks we should have vaccine passports. And what we've got is this tiny minority, 15-20% of people who are believing the lies that are coming out of Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani and Newt Gingrich and their little merry band of crazies. And they're taking horse paste, and they're refusing to get vaccinated, and they're filling up our hospitals and screwing with our healthcare system, thinking that somehow that's going to help the Republicans in 2022 or 2024. I think it's a bad bet. Killing off your own people is generally a bad bet, but time will tell. Jeff in Minneapolis, listening on AM 950. Hey, Jeff, what's up?
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
All right. So I think your solution is wrong. For Medicare, Medicaid, whatever you're doing, I think insurance shouldn't be the answer because that's the middle product. The end product is the hospitals where the money all goes, and those should be federalized. Then you cut down on waste of extra machinery, extra costs for tests because it's all federalized. And the only people that are going to be mad at you about that is the Catholic Church because they own 90% of the hospitals in the United States.
They don't own 90%, but they own a lot.
No, they own like 90%. Especially in the South, they're closer to 100.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of your numbers, Jeff. But I do agree with you that for-profit hospital groups are a major problem. Used to be back in the 70s that, at least in Michigan, where I lived, all the hospitals were required to be not-for-profit organizations, which meant every decision that was made by the executives of the hospital had to be in the context of what's going to be best for our patients and our community. Period, full stop. That's the only consideration. That has been replaced now with the question, what's going to make the most money for our shareholders and allow our CEOs to make millions of dollars in income?
But, Tom, you're missing one part.
What's that?
Because the church owns so many of these hospitals, they're considered nonprofit. They're not paying taxes.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So the degree of care might not necessarily be there, especially when it's tied to politics.
Yeah, I just, Jeff, I'm sure your numbers are wrong. Number one, and number two, I really don't see the Catholic Church as a villain here, other than their weird policies with regard to women and women's health care. But I'll have to look a little deeper into that. That's one of the things that, frankly, I didn't really do a deep dive on when I did the book research.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
It's 46 minutes past the hour. Back with more of your calls in just a moment. It's talk media for the sane among us. Yes, there are still some of us here. And welcome back, Max in Clackamas. Hey, Max, what's on your mind? Thanks for watching us on YouTube.
Hey, Tom. Good to see you on YouTube. I just wanted to call and sort of both warn people and ask people. My little sister, she's 20 years old. She suffers from pre-existing conditions which cause her to be prescribed a drug called Humira, which is an immunosuppressant.
Right.
So already she has a very high risk of getting sick. Because of that, she was responsible and got the vaccine and was doing everything that we've all been advised to do to prevent the spread and catch of COVID. And then she went back to her little private Christian Evangelical University in Ohio, which had a 1 in 10 infection rate.
Very good.
And yeah, she just got out of the ER, out of the hospital in Ohio. She, being 20 years old, tried to get into the regular hospital in Ohio. And my mom sent me pictures of people like literally gasping for air on the sidewalk outside the hospital, like a fish out of water kind of thing. She said it was like talking to my mom. She's very emotional always, over the little things, but she was completely just zombie almost. She said, yeah, it's like something from a bad movie, just like that, just matter of fact.
I think we've all become a little numb to it, Max.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that we have come to the point where we're accepting 1,500 people dying a day or 600,000 Americans dead as like, well, okay, that's life, I guess. It's amazing.
It really hits you different when it's like your own little sister.
Yeah.
And I can imagine how it hits different if it's your
she
mom
okay now?
or. No, I mean she's out of the ER, which by the way, she got into a children's hospital ER because she's only 20 and they started accepting people up to 21. Her left leg is basically a limp noodle, as my mom described. She has to use a walker. And she gets dizzy. Somehow, I'm not a medical expert, but I hear that and I'm like, somehow that's got to like affect the nerves or something.
She might have
also with the loss of taste and smell, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a nerve thing.
Yeah.
So my word is people who are on immunosuppressants already know to be extra careful.
Yeah.
But maybe don't send your kid back to an evangelical university where there's a 10% positivity rate. And her roommates, by the way, are like mocking her. You know it's bad when my mom and the mother of one of my sister's college roommates, get into an argument on Facebook over, whether it's real or not. It's just completely bananas. Yeah, it's just bananas. It's surreal. Meanwhile, Tom, I don't know if you're aware of this, but good luck finding a therapist or a counselor anywhere in the Portland Regional Metro. Everybody's completely booked up for the next 2 months.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
my daughter-in-law is a psychotherapist. It's the business is booming, sadly.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Business is booming.
Well, Tom, good to talk to you.
Nice talking to you,
everybody
Max.
Be safe.
Yeah,
especially if you're on Humira.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Max. What a story. 10 minutes before the hour. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Stick around. Our 1 hour free podcast recaps our show, and it's available wherever fine podcasts are found. And we have the full 3 hour podcast available over at thomhartmann.com if you want to really support our program. So we have over at hartmannreport.com my daily rant, which you can find there. And over at thomhartmann.com, we have the free newsletter, which lists every single website, gives you hot links right out to every single website for every single story that I talk about throughout the program during the course of the day. And then, of course, also at thomhartmann.com, we've got our weekly video that we put up. And the one this week is kind of mind-boggling. It turns out, if you remember back when Anthony Kennedy resigned from the U.S. Supreme Court right after Trump made remarks about his son Justin, who had signed off on $1 billion worth of loans from Deutsche Bank to Donald Trump, Kennedy resigned, and Brett Kavanaugh was nominated by Trump. And Christine Blasey Ford said he was, essentially guilty of sexual assault. All kinds of tips went to the FBI, and we have just found out what happened to those tips. It's all over at thomhartmann.com. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Raven in Medford. Hey, Raven, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Raven. Hey, Tom, how are you? I have 2 things to say. One very quickly and very strongly. So the first is that I am a HIV patient of 30-something years.
Mm-hmm.
I have a T-cell count slightly over 200. I've taken the vaccine and been fully vaccinated, and I have no problems from it whatsoever.
Good.
If I probably hadn't taken it, I'd probably be dead by now because I have such a low T-cell count.
Yeah.
There is no excuse to not take the vaccination.
Amen.
The second thing is that, I hate to say it, but I believe that as long as we refuse to treat the anti-vaxxers and the seditionists as they truly deserve, that doesn't mean we have to be violent towards them. But as long as we refuse to treat them as they truly deserve, they're simply going to continue because what they're really doing is taking advantage of our better natures. And
so here's the question, Raven.
They can do that.
What is the treatment that they truly deserve that you're advocating?
I'm saying, so I trained in mental health, and we used to have addicts and alcoholics. And we found that if we got them away from their buddies, from their crowd, and we started dealing with them in detox with the reality of the situation, a number of them actually began to come around. But if we had any of the staff that would even, I want to say, even show sympathy towards their position, they would immediately fall back into their old behaviors and thinking. We had to be very strong, very firm about what reality really was. And even if they became violent towards us, we would have to say, no, you are wrong, and that is all there is to it. I don't have to show you any facts or anything else. You know yourself that you're wrong. And I'm not going to stop Tom or Jerry from voicing their opinion, which is correct. I'm not going to stop giving so-and-so their medication. I'm not going to stop any of that. You have to set where you are at and where everyone else is at. And we are not going to constantly placate to you and baby you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm over it. I'm just completely over it. And I'm also over this press coverage. I want to tomorrow really make that a focus of my rant, this press coverage that, like, oh, gee, we've got two Americas, people who don't want to get vaccinated, people who do want to. No, we've got a fringe that has been convinced by foreign trolls and by hustlers in the Republican Party who are trying to create a crisis in the United States to make it difficult for Joe Biden to govern because they want Republicans to be in control of the country again so that they can cut taxes for billionaires and further deregulate the country. And that's what's going on. It's not like, you know, half the country doesn't want to get vaccinated. 70% of the country is vaccinated now. We're one of the highest rates in the world, but not in the red states or not in the red counties. And that is just so wrong. And I'm sick and tired of it. I'm over it with these people. Robert in Omaha. Thank you, Raven. Robert in Omaha, Nebraska. Hey, Robert, what's up?
Yes. I would like to ask you a question, and I feel like there's no easy way to ask this. And the exception to this question would be like for anybody who has any close family or friends who were affected by it. But I know that
you're talking about 9/11.
9/11. Yeah, 9/11 happened like in 2001, and it's now like 2021. And I know that after the first few years after a tragedy, we remember and we pay our respects to people and everything. But then after a while, what is your opinion on, like, after a while, would it be okay to, like, maybe ask people to, like, I don't know, like, or if we sort of, like, move on, or?
Well, that's what happens throughout history, Robert. We no longer memorialize the end of World War. Well, we sort of do. I mean, that's November 11th. It used to be called Armistice Day. You know, now we call it something else. But it started out memorializing the signing of the armistice that ended World War I. We still remember Pearl Harbor. We still remember VE Day, but not in the ways that we did in the 50s when I was a kid, when it was a huge deal, right, these things. I think, you know, time heals all wounds, as it were, and it fades away these memories. And there will be new outrages, I guarantee you. Robert, thank you for the call. I get your question. I don't think that there's a clean or simple answer other than that time tends to take care of those things. And you're absolutely right. For people who lost somebody in 9/11, it's never going to go away. It'll be with them for the rest of their lives. And they're going to want to have something. They're going to want to have a memorial. And it's fine with me.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at hellofresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.
We say fight back!
Welcome back to the second day of the Free Speech TV Fund Drive for this fall. It is such an extraordinary opportunity, frankly. I'm so happy to be here with you to encourage you to become part of this really cool television network. Right? I mean, there are bizarre television networks out there, particularly on the right. There are kind of plain vanilla television networks out there. There's a bunch of different kinds of television networks out there. Free Speech TV is unique. There is no other progressive television network. I mean, maybe a few little attempts on the internet and things, but nothing like this. Nothing that's on Dish, that's on Direct, that's on satellite TV all over the country, that's on Sling, that's on Apple, that's on Hulu, that's on Roku. I mean, we're everywhere. And you can tell your friends about Free Speech TV and help, with our evangelism effort. It's always a big challenge, right? Bring new people in. I mean, it's a big challenge for any business to do outreach, to do marketing, to do promotion. And so one of the things that I always try to remind you during these pledge drives is, A, we do need your money. Free Speech TV does need your support, right? And, whether it's $5 or $500, you're calling now 877-378-8669 and making a contribution is a big deal. And I know that there are some of you who are going, well, I just can't afford it right now. I live on a fixed income. My Social Security just barely covers everything, or whatever it may be, my pension, or my job, and it's just, I don't have any money left over to be passing along. It's fine. No harm, no foul. But what you can do is you can pass along free speech itself to your friends and neighbors. You can tell people about Free Speech TV. You can get them excited about Free Speech TV. You can get them to watch Free Speech TV. Hey, have you seen this Hartmann guy? Have you seen, he occasionally says something that's really, really useful. Or Randy Rhodes, I got to tell you. Or, hey, you want to have a hysterical, watch Stephanie or Sonali or David Pakman. I mean, there are some great people on this network. Just absolutely great programs on this network. You're not going to find it anywhere else. And we want to keep it going. Don't you? So please, at the very least, make a commitment that this week you're going to get at least one other person as enthusiastic about Free Speech TV as you are. And if you have the means, if you have the financial means, please call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Monthly contributions, making commitments, becoming members of the Sustainers Circle or whatever it's called here, the group of folks who are on a monthly basis helping out with Free Speech TV. That's great. That's even better, because then Free Speech can budget. But call now, 877-378-8669. There are a whole bunch of little goodies that Free Speech TV is offering with contributions to try to incentivize you to make a contribution. With a $20 gift, you get your choice of either the Free Speech TV kind of bumper sticker or the clear, kind of clingy plastic sticker that you can put in a window without leaving any kind of goop behind. Those stickers are $20, one or the other. With a $50 gift, there are 2 different designs for this Free Speech TV tote bag. And you can choose which one you want. They're both great. These are nice, high-quality, heavy-duty canvas tote bags. Great for, anything from groceries to bringing the towels to the beach or whatever. With a $75 gift, there's the black hat, the Free Speech TV hat. With also with a $75 gift, there's the official Thom Hartmann Free Speech TV mug. And with a $100 gift, you get the Free Speech TV notebook. You have your choice of the Free Speech TV notebook and pen or the Free Speech TV socks. Yes, we have socks. Isn't that cool? With a $120 gift, you can get an autographed copy of my new book that literally came out yesterday. Yesterday was the release date. It's The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich, with a great blurb from Ed Asner on the front cover. I put so much work into this book, and I really hope that you have an opportunity to read it, one way or another. That's available, an autographed copy with a $120 gift, or with a $120 gift, you can get a Free Speech TV t-shirt. The $240 gift, there's the Free Speech TV virtual meet and greet where we all get together on Zoom and have a conversation. With a $360 gift, there is the Thom Hartmann University box that Free Speech TV puts together, and they throw into that box a pair of Free Speech TV socks and the bumper sticker and an autographed copy of Hidden History of Healthcare and the mug and the hat. And, of course, with a $1,000 gift, get in line to come here to Portland when this epidemic or pandemic is over and we've got all this figured out and everybody's well vaccinated, and we'll get together and have a nice lunch together. But the bottom line is this network is your network, and it needs your support right now. 877-378-8669 is the phone number. Please call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And welcome back. 6 minutes past the hour. So everybody is speculating about Joe Manchin and is he going to blow up? Joe Biden, President Biden this morning gave a speech calling for a significant portion. Let me get over to the New York Times website because it was right up there in the headline. Calling for almost half. I thought it was 45%. They say almost half of the nation's electricity to come from the sun by 2050. And, this should be a no-brainer. Germany did this 30 years ago with the 100,000 rooftops program. I gave a speech in Barcelona, Spain with, I think they're called members of parliament. There's a German name for guys, men and women who are members of the German parliament, but he was a parliamentarian who was the co-host, the co-introducer of this. He's now passed away. But the two of us spoke at this conference in Barcelona, maybe, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And he just explained it. It was very simple, the way that they did it. And that was that the German government decided that they didn't want to build any more nuclear power plants and they didn't want to burn any more coal. And there was lots and lots of sun falling on Germany, even though Germany is the cloudiest country in Europe. And I lived there for a year, and I can tell you, it's like Louise and I, our mantra every day was, you know, andere grauen Tag, another gray day, right? It's like, it's gray all the time. But solar cells work fine when the sun isn't shining. If you've got clouds, that's okay. The kind of light that fires up the solar cells seems to make it through. And so the way they worked it out was they said, we're going to the banks, first of all. If you own your house, and it was like roughly 80% of Germans own their houses. So if you own your house, and the rest, it was landlords. And so if you're a landlord, this works too. So, you know, pretty much covered everybody. If you own your house, the bank will loan you at a very low interest rate. My recollection is that it was 1%, but it's been a while, so maybe it was 2%, but whatever. It was very, very low. The bank will loan you enough money to put solar panels and big batteries and stuff to solarize your house. Keep in mind, this was in the 80s, maybe the 90s. The bank will loan you that money on a 10-year loan, and what we know is that, let's say that the repayment on that loan would be $100 a month. And right now you're spending, let me figure out an easier way to explain this. They figured out how much people were paying for electricity. Everybody knew what they were paying for electricity. So say you're paying 10 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity. So what they said was, for the next 10 years after you solarize your house, while you're paying back that mortgage, the utility, the electric company, has to pay you 7 times the normal cost of electricity. So if you're normally spending $100 a month for electricity, and now you're generating all your electricity and you're feeding some of it back to the grid, and you're feeding back to the grid what used to be $100 worth of electricity, you're going to get $700 a month for that. Now, why did they pick that? Because that allowed people to basically pay for solarizing their houses, pay off those mortgages, which were backstopped by the federal government, by the way. That's why the interest rates were so low. Pay off that mortgage for the solarization in 10 years at no cost to you. The cost is entirely borne by the utilities. Now, why did the utilities go along with this? Because the cost of building brand new nuclear power plants was not 7 times the cost of normal electricity. It was like 12 or 13 times the cost of normal electricity. So the utilities were basically paying for the construction of a nationwide rooftop solar system. And if you've ever been to Germany in the last decade or so, you take that, particularly you take that train, every time I go, I take this train from Frankfurt all the way over to Kulmbach. You know, it's a 4-hour ride, east to west across the country, or west to east rather, across the country. And you're looking out, if you're on the north side, looking up the windows, and you're, or on the south side, and you're on the north side, and you're looking at the south-facing roofs, it's like almost every rooftop is solarized. And so what happened was, at the end of that 10 years, everybody basically got free solar. The utilities got a generating capacity that was originally estimated to be the equivalent of 1 or 2 new nuclear power plants. It turned out it was 8 or 10. They got more electricity. They got so much extra electricity, they had to upgrade their power grid to deal with it. And everybody won. The utilities got cheaper electricity. There was no nuclear waste or coal waste. It was paid for in 10 years when the lifetime of these solar panels is 40 or 50 years. Literally everybody won. This is not rocket science. So Joe Biden this morning is proposing, let's make half of our electricity by 2050 from the sun. I think if we simply follow the German plan, we could make half of our electricity, from the sun in 10 years, just like the Germans did. I mean, it's not like this, like we have to invent something new. The problem that he's going to have is Joe Manchin is making $500,000 a year selling coal. He started a coal company, and his son now runs it, and he's still making money off the stock he owns and the royalties and whatever. And, you know, Joe Manchin's making he's made millions and millions of dollars off selling fossil fuels. And so he's out there saying, what, $3.5 trillion to help solarize America and green you? No way. I'm not going to go along with that. And, of course, every Republican is in the back pocket of, number one, they don't want Biden to have any successful initiatives because then Americans might vote for Democrats. And number two, they're all taking money from the big power companies and the fossil fuel industry. And you got, you know, fossil fuel billionaires who have, you know, funded this entire network of think tanks and stuff like this all across the United States. So what's going to happen? I don't have an easy answer for this, but I'm telling you, I think it's time for Joe Biden, President Biden, to take Mr. Manchin and Ms. Sinema to the woodshed. The president is not without carrots and is not without sticks. This has to do with our right to vote. This has to do with our right to health care. This has to do with our right to not be destroyed by storms that are costing us a frigging fortune. One of the reasons housing prices are going up so much right now is because it costs so much to remodel your home. Why is that? Because Texas, thousands, probably hundreds of thousands, certainly tens of thousands of homes in Texas were damaged in February when they had that deep freeze. Now you've got houses from Louisiana all the way up to New Jersey wiped out by Hurricane Ida. They all have to be replaced. We're buying an awful lot of our housing, rebuilding housing stuff from China. My brother-in-law was telling me yesterday, day before yesterday, how in Shanghai they're having an outbreak and the port is basically shut down. There's a couple of hundred ships. He used to be a sea captain on one of these giant 1,000-foot-long ships, out of Singapore. He knows the industry. And he was like, there's this huge bottleneck, and that's why everybody's talking about the supply chain. They had this outbreak of COVID there, and it's kind of shut down part of Singapore. But if you're trying to rebuild your house from a disaster, you need to buy the electrical outlets. They're made in China. You need to buy the light switches. They're made in China. The sheetrock is made in China. All this stuff, which opens a whole other conversation that we'll have another time about neoliberal trade policy. But nonetheless, here we have this opportunity to do something about global warming and reboot America and get us off fossil fuels that are not only poisoning our climate, they're poisoning us. 10,000, the best estimate is that 10,000 Americans die every year from cancers caused by car exhaust and coal-fired and oil-fired power plants. And that doesn't include the cost of asthma and things like that. I mean, we will get healthier. We will save money. Our healthcare system will be improved. But President Biden and Majority Leader Schumer in the United States Senate and Speaker of the House Pelosi need to take this on. They need to take on Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema and the little surrender caucus, the little surrender monkeys in the House of Representatives. These 8 or 10 Democrats who are like, well, we're not sure we want to go along with this. I don't know about this. I got people making big money donations to my campaigns. Like Kurt Schrader here in Oregon. There's too much money you want to spend. Are you serious? Give me a break. Give me an effing break. I mean, it is time to say enough is enough. Blow up the filibuster, and let's get some stuff done. This is, it's the week after Labor Day. This is when the political season for November of 2022, it's only, 12 months away, 14 months away? This is when that political season begins, right now. And I think it is absolutely time to basically take names and kick ass. Over at TPM, Kay Riga is writing a Talking Points memo. Various reforms and tactical ideas haven't swayed Manchin or Sinema. Voting protections, gerrymandering clock has started. You know, we could stop gerrymandering and go to drawing districts that actually, you know, reflect geography and science and math and like that, very simply by outlawing gerrymandering. Excuse me. Oh, didn't get to my mute button fast enough. Sorry about that. And the anti-filibuster, but you know, this is something that has to be done. And I am calling on the President of the United States, on President Biden. He has not, up to this point, been willing to throw all his weight behind calling out those people, behind ending the filibuster. And he has to do it. He has to do it. We've got to end the filibuster. This thing that John C. Calhoun started to preserve slavery, it needs to end.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Back with your call and more of the news of the day right after this. And welcome back, Mike. Whoops, there we go. Mike in Seattle. Hey, Mike, what's up? What's on your mind?
Well, I'm on the things that you rail against. I happen to have
Medicare Advantage.
I have it with Kaiser Permanente, and
that's one of the better programs. As long as you stay in system, you're in good shape.
I don't really have much to complain about. There's a few things I could rant about, but they've been pretty decent. I get the screenings get done on a regular basis. In fact, if I don't want to go in, they actually bag me on it.
Right, because they're looking for things that they can use to raise their risk score, so they can increase the amount of money that they're draining out of the Medicare trust fund.
Well, calm down, Tom. Part of what they're looking for is they're looking to make sure that I don't get sick, that I don't get something that gets really, really bad, that they can catch it early on. That's been
Of course, that's a piece of it. That's what your doctors should be doing every year. That's why you have a physical.
Right. That's what group health has done. I've been with these folks for 20-some years.
Yeah.
I'm on a very, very expensive medicine, which is the only thing that's keeping me alive. And I did have to deal with a death panel, but they approved me first try. And I have to go in every 3 weeks. It's an infusion type of process. It sucks. I don't do needles very good.
Yeah.
And it's in the infusion nurses here in Seattle, they're the greatest people in the world.
Well, I'm glad it's working for you, Mike. And because you now have a pre-existing condition, it'll be very difficult for you to get back to regular Medicare. But if you're happy with Kaiser, you know, good luck and God bless. I mean, that's all I can say. What I do know is that Kaiser is one of the better plans. Typically, the ones administered by HMO are better. But if you get sick in an area where you're out of plan, where you can't get to a Kaiser facility or one that they have a cooperative agreement with, it can cost you a fortune. And I hope that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, my sister and her husband have standard Medicare, and they changed gap policies, and that was a fiasco. He's on a special medication, and they didn't want to cover it because it's the more expensive stuff.
Right.
And she spent about a month on the phone, and they wanted him to go back to this older medication and try it, and she's like, it'll kill him.
Yeah.
And so she took a month and untold hours on the phone and emails to get finally the correct medication.
Yeah, that is not a problem that is unique to either Medicare Advantage or Medigap insurance. That is a insurance company problem, and it's why we need to get rid of that 20% gap in Medicare and just have Medicare cover 100%. It's just very straightforward. But Mike, I'm glad to hear of your success so far with it, and I wish you the very best. Tom in Florence, Oregon. Hey, Tom, what's up?
Oh, hi, Tom. I just successfully completed my change from Advantage, AARP Advantage over to Medigap in Oregon.
Oh, cool.
I can explain the process. There's a lot of talk about what you need to do, but I just did it, and I'll explain how. You Google Oregon Medicare. Oh, I hear the music.
Yeah. Can you do it quick?
I can hold. No, I can hold.
Okay, I'll stick around. That was my fault, Tom. I was not watching the clock when I put you on the line. Hang on. It's 22 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back. Stick around. Change starts with you. You can be calling your Democratic or Republican representatives to let them know what you think by calling 202-224-3121. It's the Capitol switchboard. It'll get you right through to them. So what makes Trump supporters Trump supporters? Good question, right? Well, Psychology Today did a deep dive into a whole bunch of literature on this and a number of studies and concluded that there were 5 characteristics that crossed right across virtually all Trump supporters. And I do a deep dive on these on our video over at thomhartmann.com for the supporters of our program today. But here's essentially what it says. Number 1, they are authoritarians, by and large authoritarian followers. They want a strong father figure to make them feel safe. Number 2, social dominance orientation. They believe in a caste system and they think they should be in the top caste. Number 3, prejudice. They view people of other races poorly. Number 4, intergroup contact. Most of them have never experienced significant contact with people of another race or people, deeply different than them. And number 5, relative deprivation. They feel like they've been screwed. They're not sure why. And Trump tells them, oh, it's those brown people. It's all over at thomhartmann.com. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, 24 minutes past the hour. Tom in Florence, Oregon. Hey, Tom, you were telling me, and my apologies for putting you on the air 10 seconds before the music hit. I usually don't do that, but you were telling us you moved off Medigap, or Medicare Advantage. So tell the story.
Yes. First, I'm in Oregon. Your state may vary. Oregon has 2 laws. One is in your first year after your 65th birthday, you can change to Medigap without a penalty, without pre-existing conditions being considered.
So if you signed up in Oregon, so if you signed up for Medicare Advantage when you turned 65, because your insurance agent hustled you into it or you saw a TV ad, you still have 12 months before they can really screw you that you can shift back to regular Medicare and Medigap.
Exactly. I took the free AARP Medigap, Advantage plan, in my first 3 months after I was automatically put on A and B. So they, you Google Oregon and Medicare, and they refer you to a volunteer counselor at an organization called SHIBA, S-H-I-B-A, and that person walked me through on, he ran up some estimates and sent me PDFs on all the Medigap plans and also the drug plans. So I found the cheapest one in a small town like Florence, Oregon. There's a local State Farm agent where I'm paying $1,490 a year for the Medigap plan.
Which ain't bad.
And the trick is that they go through underwriting, but it's no pre-existing review, condition review, no medical review, none of that stuff. It's almost automatic.
Right.
And then every year, since the Medigap plan can change from $133 a month, can change prices, and there's 20 companies to choose from, you have 30 days after your next birthday to change even your Medigap plan without pre-existing conditions in Oregon.
That's great.
So I made that move, but there's a gotcha here. You also have to have a drug plan in order not to have a penalty under Medicaid. Yeah. So the way to do that is wait for the underwriter to approve your Medigap switchover. And after you've done that, you go get a drug plan. I can find one for $6.30 a month. And when you do sign up for that drug plan, and you have to wait till get activated on the Medigap, then the drug plan you sign up for automatically cancels the AARP Advantage plan. So you have to do it in a 2-step process, but it was so easy and it's cheaper. I'm paying $1,500 a year when even my deductible was $2,900 a year on the free plan.
On the old Advantage plan. Huh. Tom, thank you for
to
that.
The Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
That's a great one. I picked up the drug coverage plan from the same company that I get my Medicare plan from, for what it's worth. That works well for me. Well, welcome back to the second day of the Free Speech TV Fund Drive for this fall. It is such an extraordinary opportunity, frankly. I'm so happy to be here with you to encourage you to become part of this really cool television network. Right? I mean, there are bizarre television networks out there, particularly on the right. There are kind of plain vanilla television networks out there. There's a bunch of different kinds of television networks out there. Free Speech TV is unique. There is no other progressive television network. I mean, maybe a few little attempts on the internet and things, but nothing like this. Nothing that's on Dish, that's on Direct, that's on satellite TV all over the country, that's on Sling, that's on Apple, that's on Hulu, that's on Roku. I mean, we're everywhere. And you can tell your friends about Free Speech TV and help, with our evangelism effort. It's always a big challenge, right? Bring new people in. I mean, it's a big challenge for any business to do outreach, to do marketing, to do promotion. And so one of the things that I always try to remind you during these pledge drives is, A, we do need your money. Free Speech TV does need your support, right? And, whether it's $5 or $500, you're calling now 877-378-8669 and making a contribution is a big deal. And I know that there are some of you who are going, well, I just can't afford it right now. I live on a fixed income. My Social Security just barely covers everything, or whatever it may be, my pension, or my job, and it's just, I don't have any money left over to be passing along. It's fine. No harm, no foul. But what you can do is you can pass along free speech itself to your friends and neighbors. You can tell people about Free Speech TV. You can get them excited about Free Speech TV. You can get them to watch Free Speech TV. Hey, have you seen this Hartmann guy? Have you seen, he occasionally says something that's really, really useful. Or Randy Rhodes, I got to tell you, or hey, you want to have a hysterical, watch Stephanie or Sonali or David Pakman. I mean, there are some great people on this network. Just absolutely great programs on this network. You're not going to find it anywhere else. And we want to keep it going. Don't you? So please, at the very least, make a commitment that this week you're going to get at least one other person as enthusiastic about Free Speech TV as you are. And if you have the means, if you have the financial means, please call 877-378-8669 and make a contribution. Monthly contributions, making commitments, becoming members of the Sustainers Circle or whatever it's called here, the group of folks who are on a monthly basis helping out with Free Speech TV. That's great. That's even better, because then free speech can budget. But call now. 877-378-8669. There are a whole bunch of little goodies that Free Speech TV is offering with contributions to try to incentivize you to make a contribution. With a $20 gift, you get your choice of either the Free Speech TV kind of bumper sticker or the clear, kind of clingy plastic sticker that you can put in a window without leaving any kind of goop behind. Those stickers are $20, one or the other. With a $50 gift, there are two different designs for this Free Speech TV tote bag. And you can choose which one you want. They're both great. These are nice, high-quality, heavy-duty canvas tote bags. Great for, anything from groceries to bringing the towels to the beach or whatever. With a $75 gift, there's the black hat, the Free Speech TV hat. Also with a $75 gift, there's the official Thom Hartmann Free Speech TV mug. And with a $100 gift, you get the Free Speech TV notebook. You have your choice of the Free Speech TV notebook and pen or the Free Speech TV socks. Yes, we have socks. Isn't that cool? With a $120 gift, you can get an autographed copy of my new book that literally came out yesterday. Yesterday was the release date. It's The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich, with a great blurb from Ed Asner on the front cover. I put so much work into this book, and I really hope that you have an opportunity to read it, one way or another. That's available, an autographed copy with a $120 gift, or with a $120 gift, you can get a Free Speech TV t-shirt. The $240 gift, there's the Free Speech TV virtual meet and greet, where we all get together on Zoom and have a conversation. With a $360 gift, there is the Thom Hartmann University box that Free Speech TV puts together, and they throw into that box a pair of Free Speech TV socks and the bumper sticker and an autographed copy of Hidden History of Healthcare and the mug and the hat. And of course, with a $1,000 gift, get in line to come here to Portland when this epidemic or pandemic is over and we've got all this figured out and everybody's well vaccinated, and we'll get together and have a nice lunch together. But the bottom line is, this network is your network, and it needs your support right now. 877-378-8669 is the phone number. Please call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. Hey, we have a new video for supporters of our program over at thomhartmann.com. It's about curing type 1 diabetes, which is a pretty amazing thing. Type 1 diabetes is where the cells in the pancreas that produce insulin are actually destroyed. They're gone. Type 1 diabetics, typically it shows up in childhood. And without insulin, people die from it fairly young. With insulin, they can live a good long life, but a University of Alberta researcher, Dr. James Shapiro, back in 1990 pioneered a transplant system. Now, the problem with that was that people had to use immunosuppressive drugs for the rest of their lives because they had just gotten, a partial pancreas transplant from another person. But now he's successfully, on mice, worked out a way of actually curing type 1 diabetes. We can't do it legally here in the United States, but they're doing it in Canada. It's amazing. You can check it out at thomhartmann.com. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you and Joe in Portland. Hey, Joe, what's on your mind?
Tom, it's actually Jeff. Good morning.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. Yeah, I thought you're talking about Joe Manchin. My apologies.
Yes. Yeah, and by the way, congratulations on the new book. I look forward to getting it. But yeah, regarding, and thanks for calling out Biden and Schumer regarding Joe Manchin. And Tom, we need to remind people in corporate media that Joe Biden and the Democrats were elected to bring the pandemic, A, bring the pandemic under control, B, get the economy going again by building back better in a way that mitigates the growing threat of climate change, which just last week wreaked havoc across the country. 90% of Democrats support the $3.5 trillion reconciliation plan, Tom. So, Manchin, he's not just going against Biden, he's going against the entire Democratic agenda that won us back the House and the Senate.
Yep.
And finally, Tom, I would link this. I see what's going on in California right now as a microcosm of what to expect in 22 and 24. This recall vote is way too close for comfort. As Lawrence O'Donnell explained last night, if 50% or more people in California don't vote no, and right now it's only like at 53%, if 50% or more don't vote no, then California's going to get Larry Elder, the longtime mentor of Trump's white supremacist advisor, Stephen Miller. This would be a disaster that ripples across the whole country.
Yep.
I mean, you talked about it, and the Senate's at stake if this guy gets in and finds, replaces Dianne Feinstein. So, I mean, it's just crazy to think that it's that close. And it shows, you know, you got to give people, the whole thing is you got to motivate people to get out to vote. And the Latinos in California have been a little slow at waking up. Just last month they were pro-recall, and now they've shifted. But, you know, it's really going to take a big effort to get people out to vote and get over that 50% threshold. So. And whatever you can keep doing to sound the alarm. Jean Guerrero is a great writer for the LA Times, and she's really documented the extent of Larry Elder's white supremacist leanings. If you ever wanted to talk to her,
which is so ironic because he's a black guy.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how he gets away with it, basically.
It's crazy. You know, Spike Lee did a movie called Black Klansman. And I mean, and it was actually about a guy, African American, who infiltrated the Klan. Right. But you know, a true story. But he did it because it was over the phone. Of course, the Klan wouldn't accept a black man. But if they did, Larry Elder would probably be the first one. I mean, he's just one of the most bizarre characters out there. And if you're living in California and you haven't gotten your ballot in, do it now. The fact that the one ray of light that I'm seeing right now, Jeff, is that all over the right-wingosphere, you've got right-wing crazies going, the vote in California is rigged. It's going to be voter fraud, massive voter fraud. I guarantee it, because they see the probability, I think, and I shouldn't even say this, you know, I knock wood, that Gavin Newsom is going to win this thing. But they're prepared for that. They're going to whine and complain and be the snowflakes that they are if Newsom wins. And if he doesn't win, they're going to do their best to destroy the 6th largest economy in the world and our most populous state. It's a two-pronged strategy. Again, I think that's exactly what they'll do in 2022 as well. Yep. But yeah, I don't think. Just because they're starting to do that with the big lie, I don't think it could be like a rope-a-dope effort to get, you know, Democratic voters complacent there and not turn in their ballots. So
turn in your ballots. So this is a tight election. Jeff, thank you very much for that. Andy in Hoosick Falls, New York. Hey, Andy, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. I just want to get back in touch with you on the prayer in the school systems and
the thing that Ronald Reagan was championing back in the 70s and 80s.
Yes, and I went to school in suburban New Jersey in the 70s and 80s, so I'm personal knowledge on this. And you know, I know I saw a lot of parochial schools in New Jersey during my time.
Andy, your phone just went totally weird on me. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you fine.
Great.
Something went funky there. Keep going.
So there's so many of these parochial schools are gone now. And I think the Republicans know this. The Christian church knows this. They're losing participation in the parochial school systems, and I think they know there's a correlation between that and the drop in participation in the churches. Mm-hmm. And so, as well as the fact that we know, Betsy DeVos proved this, that they want to privatize the school systems. I also believe that they are perfectly willing to take our public dollars and our public school money and use it to achieve the goals that they can no longer do with the private dollars, which they were getting in the parochial schools. I mean, let's face it, the middle class can't afford school taxes and parochial school tuition.
Right, private schools. Yeah.
And the Republican Party is not going to advocate for higher wages. We know that. So what they're going to do is that they're going to, like you said, try to form indoctrination programs like Reagan did, prayer in schools. Let's mandate this, because this is how they keep those participation levels up, especially in their voting populace as well as in their lobbyists, which are highly Christian in nature.
It's also an industry, Andy. Religion is an industry in the United States, and it needs to be recognized as such. There are some aspects of religion that are very much not an industry. Monasteries and some there's some good stuff in religion, but a lot of religion in the United States, and particularly when you look at it through the lens of where the money is, a large portion of it is an industry. And it's an industry that has become very badly corrupted by grifters and con men.
Right. It's also very influential. And we also have a pattern of this. We've seen this before with the public dollars.
Yeah.
We know that back in the day, private corporations stopped paying for private police forces to bust up unions. They used the public police force and the public dollars to do the work for them.
Right.
And I think that the Republican Party would use the public dollars to get whatever Christian agenda they have through our school systems.
Yeah,
just
and
like
these people are not Christians; they're Christianists. This is religion and political garb, or
exactly.
politics and religious garb, actually, to get it correct.
A lot of hidden agendas going on.
There you go.
Yes.
Andy, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Earl in Hyde Park, Illinois. Hey, Earl, what's up?
Hey, Tom. Thank you for taking my call. And what I was wondering with you is how do we facilitate vaccinations in these red areas in the state? Now, I live in Illinois, and one of the problems that we have down in the southern Illinois is like a red state. And some of the complaints that we're hearing from these areas that the lines are too long because the facilities have been shut down and not adequately staffed so that...
Hang on just a second, Earl. Lines for what? You're talking for testing, for vaccination, for what?
For both of those.
Okay.
In the red areas. And so I was wondering, is there a way that Biden and form a cooperation with the Democratic governor to try to figure out a way to come down on the wait times and accessibilities for these critical, endeavors? Do you have any ideas on, what you could recommend that the government and state and local level, since the, federal government and the state government have various jurisdictions?
It's largely done on a state-by-state basis. I mean, the federal government was backstopping some of the big vaccination centers and all that kind of thing for quite some time, but they stopped doing that a few months ago when basically everybody who wanted to get vaccinated had gotten vaccinated, and it was just the hardcore anti-vaxxers who weren't getting vaccinated. Now with the Delta, I agree with you, Earl. I think that they should start it back up again. I'm not sure that they have the money. It might require another congressional appropriation. Good luck getting that past Republicans in the Senate. But it is a challenge. It is a real challenge. We'll be right back. It's 44 minutes, coming up on 45 minutes past the hour.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
It's the place where we dare to ask, is Walmart a person? And we dare to say, no, give me a break. Come on. And welcome back. Christine in Ashland, Oregon. Hey, Christine, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. There we go. Hi, Tom. I just wanted to tell you about a little thing that happened to me in the grocery store yesterday.
Okay.
I take my car out to drive and do errands once a week, and so I did all of my errands, and I found people all over my town with their masks incorrectly being worn and face shields with no mask under it in buildings with a lot of people in them. And then I went to the grocery store, to our co-op here, and this lady's walking around with her mask below her nose. And when she got to the checkout where all these people are standing, she opens the beverage door, the cooler, and sneezes into the cooler where all the drinks are, where people reach in and get a beverage to drink with the tops, right there. And she sneezed into this twice. I just couldn't believe it. I'm just wondering if the virus is being spread purposely, because this was like a Typhoid Mary moment.
Yeah.
I just blew me away.
Odds are she didn't have the virus. She was just trying to be an ass, basically. She was trying to be a provocateur. She was trying to make a public statement. But you would think if she had the virus that she, and she wasn't trying to spread it, that she would have sneezed into her elbow or something like that, or at least into her mask. So it sounds like, just people that we refer to as mask holes.
Yeah. Well, I sounded on her about it, and she put on her sunglasses and didn't say anything and just kind of made herself small.
Yeah.
But things are being spread so rapidly, it wouldn't surprise me if people were actually going around. I'm not a conspiracy theory person, but geez, this just seems so deliberate.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind.
It's troubling, Christine. It really is. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sorry to hear about the story, but thank you for sharing it with us. And thank you for the call. Patricia in Greeley, Colorado. Hey, Patricia, you were able to, or you were on regular Medicare and your doctor's group stopped taking it? Is that the story?
Yeah, I'm going to change doctors after over 20 years, but I do have one more appointment, and I'm going to bring them a copy of your latest book when I go there, because I'm just so irritated at them.
Good. Well, generally the doctors' groups that refuse to take Medicare are the ones that are trying to figure out ways to rip off the system. So you're probably making a good choice.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And they are only doing Humana Advantage plans, so I think Humana's just kind of cut them a deal, and maybe they want to ease their billing, because billing is a pain, but I'm just very disappointed in their choice, and that's about all I have to say. But I'm glad, I appreciate, and I wouldn't have known about this except for listening to your program. When I went on to Medicare, I made that choice because I was informed due to free speech in your program. So I thank you.
Oh, great. Well, thank you, Patricia. I'm glad it worked out well, and I'm sorry to hear that your doctor's group is, being run as a business rather than as a medical practice. Thank you very much for the call. Good talking to you. It's 10 minutes before the hour. We'll be back with more of your calls. This is the Thom Hartmann Program, helping you win the water cooler wars as we tell the truth. The multinational corporations would really rather you didn't know all about. We'll be right back. Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. Hey, we just put a new video up for supporters of our program over at ThomHartmann.com, and it's about what would have happened if back in 1941, when we were attacked by the Japanese at Pearl Harbor, what would have happened if Franklin Roosevelt had said, well, Hawaii didn't vote for me, and it's only 2,404 dead people. I mean, that's not so many, right? What's the big deal? Or what would have happened if my dad, who, joined the Army to go fight in World War II, if my dad had said, well, it's only 2,400 people, and I live in Michigan, and they're way over in Hawaii. They're never going to get to Michigan. That's the poison that is spreading in America right now, that we really need to take on. And so anyhow, that's the essence of this, the new video that we just put up. You can find it over at ThomHartmann.com, and I think you'll find it fascinating. Thank you for your support. And welcome back. Susanna in Rapid City, South Dakota. Hey, Susanna, what's on your mind today?
Hello, Tom. I have listened to you since 2004.
Well, thank you.
And I'm your biggest fan. I have a quote from Albert Einstein to share with you.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
He says, the American nation is a nation of people who have gone from barbarism to decadence without becoming civilized.
Interesting. It would be fascinating to know the context of that quote. What provoked him to say that? Because he certainly watched what happened in Nazi Germany. He fled Nazi Germany.
Yes.
So that's fascinating. Suzanne, thank you.
I have been here for almost 50 years. I came from now Czech Republic, where a group was more important than the one person. And here was the opposite. The one person is more important than the group. And what I noticed is that people are unaware of their effect on others.
Yeah. And how their selfishness can kind of echo through our society.
Yes.
Susanna, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your thoughts, and for listening to the programs all that long. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations on your book.
Thank you. Thank you. Rick in Cartersville, Georgia. Hey, Rick, what's on your mind today?
Tom, you had mentioned about the caller in Michigan who was a state retiree about the program. Apparently, it's not just confined to the employees in Michigan, because I am a state retiree from the state of Georgia, and that back before I retired, that our during open enrollment, that the people from the state had indicated that we would maximize, my wife and I, our state dollars if we went on an HMO program, and that after I retired, that we, of course, remained on the HMO program, and that it is something other that we have been now wrapped around after we have gone on, Medicare into the, Medicaid Advantage. And, of course, the only problem with switching over is the fact that, we would lose our participation through our employer, the state of Georgia, if we did go out and take a private plan. I'm just hoping that eventually that we will get, national health care, Medicare for all, that will pay 100%, and that we won't have to fool with anything.
Yeah, like every other developed country in the world, instead of having all this mishmash and all these scams and hustles and states being paid off by insurance companies and doctors' practices trying to play games and everything else. Rick, thank you for that. It's not just one state. I'm not surprised. Thank you very much.
Right.
Good talking to you. Appreciate it. Luigi in Pensacola, Florida. Hey, Luigi, what's on your mind?
Hey, Tom, thank you for taking my call, first of all. Second of all, wow, I've never heard you so angry in all the years I've listened to you. Sounds good to me, though, brother. I got to tell you something. What I do, and I don't know if it will work for everyone, but I make telephone calls like to Joe Manchin. I live in Florida, but I call his office, even his local office. And what I say to them, look, if you can take out-of-state PAC money from millionaires and billionaires, you certainly should be able to take and listen to phone calls from citizens of this country, seeing as how everything you vote on impacts me, my family, my state, and my nation.
Amen, so, brother.
And also, I'd like you to stop putting BS labels on their heads saying thought and sold, because that's what they need to walk around with, because that's exactly what Manchin is. And ditto to you, my friend. I use a lot of your stuff online. I get every morning. And I also read your rant first thing in the morning. I love it with my coffee. I don't do away with it. I don't even get near the paper until I read your rant. But thank you for taking my call, Tom. And I get nervous even though I'm a 76-year-old man. And by God, I'm not going to quit fighting until they put me in the coffin. And I love you, brother.
There you go. I share your sentiment, Luigi. I'm not going down until I'm going down. Thank you. Johan in Los Angeles. Hey, Johan, what's up?
Are you okay with the vaccine booster or...
Yes.
Are you okay with taking the vaccine every 6 months or 12 months?
If that's what it takes to protect me from a disease that's going to, that has the potential that about a third of the people who get it end up disabled essentially for the rest of their lives. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Why?
Many people are new to this, so just asking.
Many people are mutants, did you say?
No, new to this, new.
Oh, new to this, yeah. Yeah, this vaccine, particularly the mRNA vaccines, it's a new vaccine technology. They're not injecting into you a dead virus or a killed virus or a disabled virus. They're injecting into you a piece of RNA, we call messenger RNA, that causes your body itself to produce the protein that your body then produces the antibodies to. And it's a pretty spiffy technology, and it doesn't have the side effects or the problems that a lot of the older vaccines do. So I'm frankly good with it. I'm very good with it, in fact. So thanks a lot for the call. Thomas in Columbus, I'm sorry I haven't gotten to you. We'll get to you later in the week, and other callers as well. Thank you. Thanks so much for being with us today. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. In the meantime, don't forget democracy is not a spectator sport. It does require you, really, all of us. That's why it's called democracy. So get out there, get active, tag, you're it. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to Thom Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit thomhartmann.com.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at hellofresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.
We say fight back!